This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 59, Cult Faction Spotlight on Mulholland Drive.
Superman.
No, hey, banda!
It's all an illusion.
Silencio. Hello and welcome to the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 59, Cult Faction Spotlight on Mulholland Drive. Now, what is the spotlight, I hear you asking? This is different.
What's the spotlight, Brett? Spotlight? What's the spotlight?
Oh, it's
Have you got light, boy?
Yeah, I tried light spot, but that didn't work, so I went for spotlight. But anyway, shining a light on Mulholland Drive we will be this evening.
Are you Yoda? Mulholland Drive it will be.
I was trying to be like the little bloke from the
That's quite good.
Twin Peaks. And anyway,
I'm trying to add that to my Chris Tarrant
I think
repertoire.
you should do that more often,
Yeah.
as opposed to the Chris Tarrant.
yeah,
Haven't even started drinking yet.
more people actually know who that is these days. And so what is a spotlight here, you ask? Well, what we decided we're going to do every so often is shine a spotlight maybe on a film, a TV series, a cartoon that out of the three of us, one of us has never watched, one of us kind of likes or might like it, and the other might not be so sure. So, but the main concept being that one of us has never seen this piece of cult history that needs to be watched, and they will be exposed to it, and then we will discuss. So, as I say, tonight it's Mulholland Drive. I myself have seen it, Damien has seen it, and Paul is the newbie.
Yeah. So to point out, I have now seen it.
He has now seen it for the discussion, but
It's
until...
not like you two are just going to talk at me for about
but
this
until,
2 hour 15
But until
minute
this
long
point,
film.
Paul had never experienced Mulholland Drive. Now, what is Mulholland Drive, I hear you ask?
Is it a film? Is
It
it
is
a
a
film that I
film.
watch?
We're not playing... We're not playing
Give
Give
us
Us
a
a Clue.
Yeah.
It's a book and a film.
Goldfinger.
Beat me to it. And Mulholland Drive is a 2001 surrealist neo-noir movie written and directed by the legendary David Lynch.
Some would say legendary.
And, to quote, it tells the story of an aspiring actress named Betty, newly arrived in Los Angeles, who meets and befriends an amnesic woman recovering from a car accident.
Was that your attempt at Yoda, or just?
No, that was just, I was being inquisitive.
Oh, okay. I see.
Could be, sounds quite simple.
Yeah. Very easy, simple concept for a film.
So to moving on then, as we say, Paul, we need to obviously, as being the new guy to Mulholland Drive, without giving too much away, first impressions.
Okay, because I thought you were just going to come to me and say, "What do you think, Paul?" Okay,
it's basically
it
that.
It may be a short podcast if
Okay,
that's all
but
we're
I
doing.
know. Let's kind of reframe the question a little bit. So,
Right.
did you know anything about this film before going into it?
Oh, I like where you gone.
Okay, so hands up. This is a robbery. No,
But baby hands up?
So my hands up. I'm not the biggest Lynch fan ever.
Okay.
So when you've been raving about his old series in the past that you potentially tried to get me to delve into, I'm always there kind of going, yeah. It's just not my bag, okay? And I don't really like surrealist stuff, you know. I mean, we talked about Mighty Boosh in the past. I don't get it. Lynch, I don't really get that type of film. I like, some say it's like surrealist, clever, or it's amazing. I like clever films, and I'm not averse to having to get my brain to do, some work as I watch a film.
You did like Paw Patrol.
I do like Paw Patrol. It's got many different levels to it. But Lynch has never been one of those ones that have piqued my interest. And And so what was that series? The famous series,
Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. So I remember going round to your house every now and again, and you'd be rewatching a DVD or whatever it was, or it'd be on TV or whatever. And I'd just be there thinking, I don't want to know if someone's winking and jumping up and down that it actually means something that we're going to find out about in like 2 series time, or as Lynch normally goes, he might not even know what it's got to do with. He's just, and I appreciate that, film is art and all this kind of good stuff. And the guy is obviously really clever, and, people that work with him say he's amazing. Critics, again, love him. But without talking about Mulholland Drive, he has just never really piqued my interest. So, and I don't know whether subliminally that's why, because it is a big film, and from the film world and critically acclaimed. But I'm not sure whether that's just in my subliminal consciousness has always put me off ever going near it, or whether it just passed me by.
Okay. So that's Paul's cards on the table. Damien, where are your cards?
Well, I was forced to watch this film
I didn't force
20
you.
odd years ago. Like, you have to watch this film. Watch this film. You like Twin Peaks? Yes, I like Twin Peaks. Watch this film. So, yeah, I watched the film, and this isn't the stage to go into theories about any of it. So I'm going to try and not do that. But I watched it, and my immediate thought after that was, what the fuck have I just watched? I then spent the best part of 20 years every now and again going, what the fuck did I just watch? But at the same time refusing to rewatch it. I've now rectified that. So in that intervening 20 odd years, every now and again it has popped into my head, because there's a little, like, they say you only use whatever it is, 50% of your brain or whatever. Of that 50% that I do use, 10% of that has been whirring away Mulholland Drive in the background. Yeah, it's like
You had your
it's like
processor
SETI going out onto the.
You had your
ether trying to-
processor going
yeah.
in the background.
So every now and again, it's, oh, maybe it was this, maybe it was that, and then you go, no, but if it was that bit doesn't make any sense, or that doesn't fit that narrative of what it could be. So I gave up, and now rewatched it twice in the last week.
Ah.
Mr. B.
Well, I myself, as has been alluded to by my comrades here, a bit of a David Lynch fan. I like things that aren't spoon-fed, and maybe you got to think about twist round process.
Well, I don't think any of what I said meant I didn't
Oh no,
like
no,
it.
no, no, no,
It's
no!
just
Yeah,
that-
no.
And
I wouldn't say
as
that.
I mentioned, I don't mind having to do some brain work.
I'm not. This was not meant to
Yeah,
be
so
an
it's-
attack on anyone. This
Well,
was just me.
it's
sounded like
yeah.
it.
So
It's
Oh,
like
sorry.
I like the more highbrow films.
If I wanted to send someone out, I would have said, I like these two dense fuckers. I would have gone that way, but I didn't.
You do also watch a lot of shitty cartoons as well, just to balance it out.
I watch most TV
including Love Island.
occasionally.
You're excited about new series starting soon.
Depends when it's on and what it clashes with. There's too much on. This month coming up is big time, so I need to sort of prioritise. There's about 5 or 6 shows launching, and I'm quite excited. But anyway, back to Mulholland Drive. Yeah, big Lynch fan, love the stuff. First time I saw the film, again, like most people, I was like, WTF, which I started back in 2001, and then it's caught on since, and then again watched it 15 or 20 more times probably to try and get a good idea of it, and that was a good week. And then since then I've again, like you say, there are ideas, there are theories, and even watching it again for this podcast, I spotted stuff that I'd missed before, and even as it's playing in the background now, I just spotted something else that I never noticed before. And I think that's just the genius of David Lynch and the cast and the entire mise en scene of the whole thing. And yeah, it's good. Go and watch it.
So that's probably something we should mention, that it is currently playing on the screen in front of us as we're having this conversation. So at some point we may suddenly jump and shout at something because we've spotted something we haven't necessarily spotted before.
This is the
Don't be
girl.
alarmed.
Yeah, so we've all got our first impressions then. Okay, so I guess now we go into what did we think, and I guess back to you, Paul. Our cult fashion spotlight on Mulholland Drive will turn the spotlight to you.
So we're just going, what did we think? That's
Are
it.
we going in that? Well, kind of going through it.
So
Not,
I would go. My thinking is, without going into necessarily what you think the film. What did you make of the film? Did you, as a film in its own, without trying to get too deep into it at this stage,
Right.
your viewing experience, if you like.
yes, oh, I like it. Viewing experience.
I
Okay.
did film studies, you know.
Yeah, no, I like it. I was complimenting you on your choice of lingo.
So for me, this contained a lot of the stuff that I just generally don't like. And not the film as such. Okay, the whole intro, they're all doing that stupid jitterbug dance. I hate that. This isn't a reflection on the film. It's there for a reason. Blah blah blah. But that dance, let alone anything else, winds me up. So the opening credits, I wanted them all just to fall over or to hit each other or do whatever. So yeah, first impressions. Oh my god, they're doing the jitterbug. That's annoying. If we're talking about the film as a whole, without going into specifics, and maybe this is because it's a David Lynch film, or maybe because I've got some awareness that it's a bit weird. Going into everything, I'm automatically at a different part of the process to people that hadn't known
Yeah.
anything about
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
before.
so
Okay,
you're
yeah,
looking,
okay.
Yeah.
you're studying it as you're going along.
You're
Yeah.
prepared
So you have
for
that
the
sort of
weird.
advantage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I didn't-
exactly.
I never had that.
Yeah.
So you got to watch this. This is a great film. Okay, I'll watch this film.
But as soon
No
as
context, no nothing.
anything happened, I'm already second guessing what it
Yeah.
actually is, or what it actually means, or what is actually going on. So I think that's the difference for my first time of viewing compared to.
Just as a warning, if you haven't seen it, there will be spoilers.
100% there
Yeah.
will be spoilers.
Yeah,
Just as a reminder, although it did come out in 2001.
yeah. But so I was there from the very get go. Even forget the jitterbug scene, even though I was kind of expecting something to happen from that.
Jitterbug.
But from the opening sequence with the car, I'm there thinking, oh, actually, has this really happened, or has something else happened? And is the rest of the film this now? As opposed to if I was just coming out of the cold, as it were, not knowing anything about anything to do with the film, or or the workings of it, or who wrote it or whatever, and directed, then I'd probably just be absorbing everything as opposed to trying to second guess everything. On a high level, see, the other thing that Lynch does is he brings out the best and the worst in his actors in the way he wants them. And let me explain. A lot of the acting in this looks shit. It looks cardboard, it looks wooden. And actually, it's not. The actors are playing these characters exactly how David Lynch wants them to be played. And without talking about specific scenes, I think that's really interesting because it downplays certain scenes of the films, downplays certain actors, and also there's one moment Naomi Watts, I think, does a sterling job throughout the whole film.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this one scene where she does proper acting.
Yeah, no, I think you can. There's no harm in talking specific
Oh,
scenes.
okay, cool.
I think what I was getting at is have those conversations without necessarily getting into the specifics of what we think.
Okay, cool.
What's behind the film, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So a lot of the film up to a certain point is, as I said, more wooden acting,
Yeah.
or more wooden characters. And I'm not sure whether this is deliberate, but there's a scene where Naomi Watts is doing an audition, and I'm not being funny, he might have done it on purpose, but that piece of acting is incredible in contrast to a lot of the other acting.
If
that
you
comes
think about
before
so you think of so you're talking about when they're actually doing the audition proper. and you've got like almost like a cast of thousands in the room. There's like 10 people in there, and you've got
they got the director, the
old
producers,
dude, and
yeah.
But so if you contrast that to the bit before when they're rehearsing in the kitchen. When they're rehearsing in the kitchen, when she's there, rehearsing, just going through the lines. So Betty and
Rita
are going through the lines.
Yep.
It's exactly that, wooden and just flat, and then when she goes to the audition, she knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, but most of the other performances,
But I think that's But so that scene there, or rather those two scenes put together, is almost foreshadowing what you've just said about up to a certain point. I think we can say it up to about 2 hours in. The first 2 hours of the film, they're directed to be quite one-dimensional and flat.
Yeah,
and then the final half an hour, it's
boom.
It's the opposite, and we'll come on to why we think that is later on. But yeah, those two scenes are basically that theory in a nutshell.
Yeah, and from the outside looking in, that was the point of making. It's not shit acting from the other characters, but that kind of.
It's almost like soap opera acting, isn't it?
Well,
That sort of
yeah.
But it almost grates on me because you can see these talented actors, and David Lynch is doing it for a reason. And so, from when I was watching it, it's like, okay, remember this. This isn't a crap film. These aren't crap actors. He's doing this for a reason. And because that was in the back of my head, it almost took I don't know. Did it take away, or if I was watching it without knowing anything about it, would I go, this is crap, and turn off after 15 minutes? I don't know. But yeah, so maybe that heightens my experience for that one scene because I knew that there was a deliberate reason for him doing this. And again, for that there are a lot of other series and films that he does where it's certain actors doing, downplaying their role, as it were, or character for effect.
I think he does the opposite. Well, not necessarily the opposite, but there's also scenes in this where it is the opposite. So like the coffee bit that we just talked about, where the ludicrous way that he spits out his coffee is stupid enough anyway. But then the two guys' reaction to it is so over the top. I mean, the younger of the two, I don't even know if they're given names, but they're like Hollywood middlemen, aren't they? I don't know if they're given names or not, but the younger one is like you see his hand just shaking with kind of fear.
Overly dumb,
That's
over
the top. So
this is like one of the best coffees in the world. Blah, blah.
Yeah,
exactly. So there's.
I was going to say the same thing, and also the bit later on with the hitman, where it's basically almost like a bit out of a Tarantino movie, where like he goes to shoot the guy.
I think there's quite a few nods to other films, other directors in all of it.
Yeah,
but
and it is
right,
that, and he sort of
Tarantino-esque.
shoots the guy, and the bullet goes through the wall and shoots the woman in the ass. Then he has to kill her, and then the cleaner comes in, and it's just like a whole comedy of errors. And it's
I love that bit. It's like,
and it
something
just
bit me real bad.
See, I was more hoping that the big woman was going to kill him or something like that, because it was just a bit, okay, play this out then. Let her kill the hitman. And then he ends up shooting the Hoover as well, or vacuum.
Oh yeah, and then the fire alarm goes off, and the whole building's burning down.
And then he
pretty
pinches the black book.
Ooh. Which we'll never know about, but it's
so that's one thing.
So lots of contrasts.
The other thing is not in a horror way, but it's an uncomfortable film to watch.
I think there's a few schools of thought that put this in a horror category. I don't necessarily agree with those schools of thought. It's more thriller than anything else, but it has made a few like not horror top tens, but that kind of listing as a the top 500 horror films since 2001 or whatever.
But again, we spoke about this a few minutes ago because as I said to the listeners that we've got this playing at the moment, and there's one of the Naomi Watts turns up in Hollywood. She's with a really nice couple, older couple, They say their farewells, goodbye, and as soon as they leave her, they start doing this really maniacal laugh, like out of, oh my god, they're possessed type demons, are they? And again, this is quite early stages
Yeah,
of the film.
that's freaky stuff. Yeah, that's like opening 5-10 minutes. Yeah,
But there is that bit to David Lynch that he does put these uncomfortable sequences, these random strangers
it goes
doing
back
random
to like
things.
the what's it called? One with the ear.
Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet, where there's the dark underside of society or life or existence. There's these lovely places, but and Twin Peaks was the same. Lovely place, but it's got a dark underbelly.
It's all about duplicity, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, everywhere. Nothing's binary. So, you might live in the most perfect gated community, but you might, out of the 200 people that live in that gated community, one of them may well be a drug dealer that would shoot you as soon as look at you if you gave him a funny look or whatever. Don't know where I was going with that, but it's that kind of, I was trying to get as far away from this house as possible. This isn't a gated community. I didn't want to say there's a drug dealer living down the road.
The seedy underbelly. But yeah, sorry, carry on, Paul. That was good.
Well, I've done a lot of talking about my
True,
overall.
Well, no, you're doing good. Yeah, you're on a roll. You're up to the old people. Okay.
I think the thing is, it's quite valuable having. I'm losing my voice for some reason. It's quite valuable having what you say because you're new to the film and you've only seen it once.
Yeah.
I'm only on my third viewing, but even so, I have that advantage of revisiting some
and 20
things.
years of research.
20 years of processing.
And just my final comment on overall at the moment before we let you two speak, and then maybe we'll do a bit more deeper dives into certain bits of the film, certain scenes or ideas or whatever. But how people say, "Oh, this is one of the greatest films ever," about a few films, like Citizen Kane, often said, one of the best films ever written. I watched it, liked it. I've done it. I don't really want to see it again.
Yeah. So that was one of the points I was going to raise, that I think the problem you may have had coming into watching this film is the conversations that we've had over the last 20 years. It puts a pressure on you to think a particular way about a film.
Yeah.
And Citizen Kane is a very good example of that. Everyone says it's the best film ever made. It's not a bad film.
It's good. It's all right.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But unless you're one of those proper cinema geeks, you'll just watch it as a film.
Yeah.
You don't go, "Oh, that was the first time we saw that juxtaposition of this," or the first time
And
the
the
camera zoomed from
They
this.
went through the sign, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say it's
all
one
that
of the.
sort of stuff.
I'd say it's one of the cleverest
Yeah,
films
it's one of
because it
the-
invented a lot of the stuff that everyone uses now. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
But there's a lot of films that have done that
about
better since.
it's about a sleigh.
But similarly with
Yeah.
this one, I've
Sorry,
watched
spoilers.
I've watched it now. I'm not a media studies student. I'm not a avid David Lynch fan. I've seen it. I've got my opinions of what happened. I don't need to, do a thesis on it. Done. I'm not fussed.
So will you watch it again?
No, not unless I'm forced to.
Okay.
And that's not a reflection on the film as such. Before we go and say whether it's criticize it, it's just I've done it. I've got my own thoughts of what was going on. If it's not, great. If it is, great. But again, from a David Lynch film, no one really knows unless he says that. And this is always my argument with English literature. But what is the writer really saying? It's like, well, you don't know unless he's telling you. Yeah, but what is he saying? It's like, well, again, so do you actually want me to say what I think he's saying, or she? And similarly, so watched it, got my own ideas about some of the stuff. Some of the stuff, God knows, if I'm completely honest.
Well, when asked, just picking up on that, when asked, the only one time, he's always refused to give an explanation, and one time he did, and he said it was a love story in the City of Dreams.
Yeah,
Which
okay.
is that's the only thing he's ever come close. And I think, to be honest, I think that might have been the tagline later on one of the
Yeah.
posters anyway.
I mean, that's an interesting thing because I've heard that comment before, and maybe that was when I was like getting or trying to find out how to bloody watch the thing when I was looking at like some posts and stuff. So it's a love story in the city of dreams, and from this is set in Hollywood, and it's that I think you might have mentioned it, Damien, about the two sides to any place. So Hollywood again, glitter, lovely people, lovely looking people, lovely way of life, but the underbelly of that is, well, actually there's drugs, there's killing, there's the
Corruption.
there's the workings of the movie industry
Yeah.
where people can't do whatever they want to do. It's always a bigger fish in the pond telling people what to do. And again, the effects that actually has on stars or star wannabes as well, let alone all the other people in Hollywood. And you kind of get there was another film out recently about Hollywood with Brad Pitt in, wasn't there? Which was
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
which again was a similar idea. It's like it's not all rose tinted windows. There's a darker underbelly with serial killers as well with that film. Although that was a lot funnier. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but again, it's that kind of play on.
I think there's some good comedy in I'm about to say Twin Peaks. Then there's some good
Mulholland
comedy in
Drive.
Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, but again, it's that idea that is he trying to think about Hollywood and both sides of Hollywood as well, and the effects that has. Well, probably, but as you mentioned, every gated walled place in Netley has a drug dealer just next door.
Okay. Damien,
What?
how you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
So, going back to it then, after your 20-year processing hiatus, how was it for you?
So I wish I'd watched it again a few months later, because
What, 20 years ago?
20 years ago,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So, because I mean, I'm sure we've had this sort of half conversation on many podcasts since that we've been doing, but we've always got. And then you mentioned Mulholland. Just don't even talk about it because it does my head in.
That's what led to this episode.
Yeah. So I watched it once, and probably wasn't in the right frame of mind to watch. I don't remember, watching it per se. Like I couldn't tell you what day of the week it was, or whether it was night, day, whatever. But I obviously wasn't in that frame of mind to watch a film kind of as kind of deep and complex as this. But I watched it and then was like, what the hell was that?
But that's
all
the
about?
thing; it's a hard-working film.
Yeah, you can't have it on in the background, or you can't, even
lie on a
if you go
couch with a hangover.
literally go make a cup of tea and come back.
Definitely not the hangover.
No, which might have, may well have been 20 years ago. I was young for a start, so you never know. I might well have had a hangover.
You might have been wind up.
Yeah. No, I think it was this that drove me to the boxes of wine. To be fair, I'm sure it was. For listeners, we had a conversation before we started recording that I was banging into boxes of wine 20 odd years ago in the early 2000s, and I think this may be what drove me to it. We'll never know.
At least it stopped at wine, and you didn't
Yeah.
go off into the harder stuff.
Didn't start hiding little mini bottles in the washing machine or anything.
Vodka. And put it on a spin cycle by mistake.
We love you, Checkers.
But so, yeah, I watched this, as I say, 20 odd years ago. What the fuck was that all about? And kept coming up with kind of little theories, what it might have been, what I've just watched. But then in my head, I go, well, actually, no, if it's that, then this doesn't make sense, or this doesn't fit that narrative, or that narrative doesn't fit the idea that it's whatever. We're not going to come on. I don't want to even mention particular theories until we've all had our chance to kind of just discuss what we think of the film itself. But I think my actual watching experience of it all the way through was, I'm really enjoying this film. This is a good film. I like the iconography. I was getting the kind of the feel, which is a throwback to 1940s, 50s Hollywood. There's the iconography of that era seeps out of the screen at you. There's no doubt about that. Even though it's in inverted commas because it's now 20 years old, but it's set in contemporary times. you get there's a Hollywood feel or a Hollywood glamour feel to the film. And I appreciated all of that. But there was always, for me, what annoyed me when I was watching it is you have the scene in the diner where the guy, I can't even remember if the guys are named. I don't think they even name each other. I think they're just having a conversation and they go out the back. I don't know. I haven't looked online to see if they've got names against their characters or whether they're just man 1 in diner, man 2. But throughout the entire 2.5-hour run of the film, I was always wanting to go back to them to see what happened to him. And it obviously doesn't happen. That annoyed me. But other than that, I think I can't talk too much without then going into the theories because I've seen it so many times now.
You kind of get an idea. I forgot the actor's name now, but he often plays. He was in Old School as well.
He's in loads of things.
But I'll remember it in a minute when I find it.
But you think you do see him again, obviously, in the final 10 minutes or so. But there's no resolution per se to that character arc. You see him at the beginning and you want to revisit them like you do in any film. And in any film, the opening 10-15 minutes set the characters out, don't they?
Yeah.
So I think throughout the entirety of the film, when I was watching it originally, it was, well, when are we going to go back and see the guy who had a heart attack or fainted or whatever happens to him? When are we going to go and see what happens to him and the crazy bag lady?
But you only want to see the cowboy once more.
Yeah.
You don't want to see him twice.
You're
Love
just
that
being
character.
a smart ass.
See, that to me is again why I think maybe it, fits into some kind of horror genre, is because you've got him and that's in my mind he's a really creepy, quite a scary part of the film.
See,
Almost super because he's not. I'm not buying into any theory that there's a supernatural element to this film at all. I don't buy into any of that, but. In the same token, that feels a very supernatural.
Yeah, he's
part
portrayed in that way in that scene, isn't it?
The light comes on, the light goes
yeah.
off. He's got no eyebrows for a start. That kind of and just the intensity of the way he's talking at
the director.
Justin
Theroux, who actually I'm going to say this now so I get out of my head. I obviously didn't think this 20 odd years ago, but watching it in the last couple of days, I can't get Marcus Brigstock out of my head. The stand-up comic, it just looks too much like him in this.
See, I did watch it thinking, those nice glasses.
Yeah, I'd happily, yeah.
But the cowboy as well, I watched that thinking, it's a bit of a Pulp Fiction character, actually.
I think you could put him in any of those type of, it's that kind of archetypal.
He didn't necessarily stand out as supernatural to me, but it was very much one of those random characters, the way he acts. He wanted him to be polite, thinking about what he was saying, having that conversation. You knew that one conversation was going to go two ways.
Exactly. That's why I think it's quite I don't know if scary is the right word, sinister, but
it's that.
He's not a normal guy.
No.
That he either knows his stuff about how to kill someone, he can handle himself. You know that he's going to get what he wants out of that meeting.
This is the girl. The two guys in the diner were Dan, played by Patrick Fischler. He's the one that kills over, and Herb, played by Michael Cook.
Okay, so then I guess that brings us over to you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it is a dissertation. I think it is I can never say it, a thesis. I always say feces, but that's not right.
No,
it's a thesis. I kept saying feces the other night. And it is one of those, I think, film study students, you can do 3 years on this film and get your degree. And there is so much in it. And I think I've spotted something else as it's on in the background now. And I'm just waiting to see what happens with my theory. And before I say anything, because it might be wrong. I'm looking at it now. And it is. There's just so many layers to it. From, like you said, just the storyline itself as a film. Then digging down, which we will do later, the symbolism, the metaphors, the big argument of, what does happen in the film, and And I think that's part of the genius of it is the fact that, we're 20 odd years later and you can still have these arguments. It's not it's not a done deal. There are different things, but I would like maybe just before he dies, if David Lynch would like to just sort of,
If you're
even
listening, David, come on the podcast.
yeah, if he just did I made all that shit up as I went along, or actually here's the notes of what it was all about, just to kind of, there are serial killers that like let up what they did when they died,
Yeah.
We won't hold it against you if it was like actually it was all made up all along. But I guess one day we might find out. But yeah, great film. And again, I've spotted more stuff again watching it this time round, just from like the mise en scene stuff through to just little bits of dialogue. One of the bits to do with the that I'd never spotted in 20 years before, to do with one of the, was it the 12 keys to unlocking Twin Peaks, or whatever David Lynch called it. No, not Twin Peaks, Mulholland Drive.
We'll do it. 10.
And 10
keys.
T's or whatever it was.
Yeah.
There was something else I spotted this time round. I was like, that I'd never noticed before.
So I think,
but
I think we should come on to them at some point,
yep.
because I've read. I even start that again. I only found out they existed today.
They were in the DVD when
Well,
I
I
lent
didn't
it
have
to
the
you.
DVD.
I
Well,
lent it to you.
yeah, but I didn't. I watched the film and then.
Hold on. I have no idea what you're talking
Well,
about.
exactly. But
Are we talking about
obviously-
the key in the film?
No.
Oh,
So
okay.
when the DVD was released,
Yeah.
David
in the
Lynch
sleeve was like David Lynch had put the 10 keys to sussing out the film. I can't remember what he called it.
unlocking Mulholland Drive. But
Well, no one told me
No,
about
no,
the 10 keys.
that's the point.
I
Point.
didn't know they existed until today. So
All right.
back off.
Okay. No,
But what
I
I
didn't
was
tell you
gonna
on
say-
purpose because I wanted you to just watch it, because otherwise you'd be waiting for these bits to happen. It would have ruined it.
Okay.
And but also
In
when
all honesty, they don't help.
All right. So, but it's not like the rules of surviving a horror film.
no, it's
It's
not
nothing
that.
like that.
I did go. I spent many hours going through those, and I got all of them, but I spotted something extra this time round.
So I think we should come on to those as a.
Yeah, we'll go to that bit. In a minute. But I was just going to say the other thing he done when the DVD came out is it was all one chapter, so you couldn't fast forward,
Oh, I remember you saying.
skip,
Yeah.
or anything
Yeah, so
like
if
that
you tried to
because
skip, it went back to the title screen.
yeah, you had to watch it because that's what he does.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm all up for that. It's when bands used to release albums.
It's one whole track.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it still stands up as I'm looking at it now, and it's worthy of our attention. Damien,
What?
I don't know. I thought you had an idea where we're going next. It seemed like
So I reckon it's probably just worth giving a kind of overview of the plot, which is not necessarily the right word to use, but let's give a kind of plot
the
line
narrative
of the
journey.
film. Yeah. what it
Okay
is.
then. So we've talked about. Let's just go right back to the beginning. We talked about different bits of it. So we're opening up. We've got a dark-haired woman in a like stretched posh limousine going down Mulholland Drive. Two dodgy
But,
dudes.
sorry, but then doesn't the film?
I've missed a
So
bit.
the
yes.
film really starts
Yes, no,
like,
and you need that
literally
bit.
as soon as you lose that Studio Canal
Yes,
logo.
no, you're
That's
right.
it. That's the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay.
it is referred to later on.
To quite and it's one of the
Yeah.
it's one of the keys.
Jitterbug.
Let's rewind. So right at the start, it's a bit hazy. There's some sort of heavy breathing. You're not sure what's going on, and it looks like a head hits a pillow, and it sort of all goes dark. And then this weird sort of jitterbuggy music comes on with these sort of repetitive sort of jitterbug images, which nowadays would be like a shit screensaver
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then you get like a bright exposure over the top of this girl, which is we learn later as Naomi Wood, with this old couple next to her.
What's?
Naomi, oh yeah, Naomi Wood. Yeah,
What?
no, Naomi Wood was a Hollywood tragedy.
No, that's Natalie Wood.
Natalie Wood. Who's Naomi Wood?
I have no idea.
No one. It's a combination of Naomi Watts and Natalie Wood.
Kind of done some sort of portmanteau thing.
This is the girl. Yeah. Anyway, so so Naomi Watts and the old couple we later see in a scene later as her journey But at this point, it could be the judges of the competition, maybe her parents. It looks a happy scene
Yeah.
that's sort of brightly imposed over the top. Then we get to the limo, which
Yep.
I was talking about, yes. And then, so posh limo driving along, long dark-haired lady at the back. I forgot her name, the actress.
Don't worry, listeners. This isn't an audio description of the film. We will be jumping around.
Laura Alina Herring. Yes, you see her driving along. Two dodgy guys driving it. She then says something along the lines of, "This isn't where we're supposed to stop." Looks like they're about to kill her. Then we get a nice cutaway, real 80s style of some tearaway youths in a car. And it's cutting backwards and forwards between them. And then obviously they smash up and hit each other. She wakes up, wanders off into the Hollywood hills. And doesn't look quite right. And
So at this point, I was thinking, oh, she's dead then.
Yeah, that was my first.
She's dead.
Yeah.
This is the ghost wandering off. Because she was doing it in that corpse bride fashion as well.
Then we see Naomi Watts arriving off the coach with the old couple we saw before the credits. She's come to Hollywood to be a star.
I think you have jumped, and it may not be important, but it's only important in my head because it's got a point that I want to raise. But she wanders off into the hills, and at this point it's still night time, so she
Lays under a bush.
Yeah, she passes out under a bush.
Okay, I was just conscious of not doing a verbal
No,
retelling.
but
No,
it's only because
that's
I
cool.
think this
Yeah,
is important in
yeah.
my head. Because
No,
then,
go on,
then
go
we
in.
see the aunt, in inverted commas,
Yeah,
leaving, and she sneaks into the apartment. There's a bit there when she sneaks into the apartment, and when the luggage is being loaded into the taxi, where the aunt
Caesar.
looks
Yeah.
looks back at the house, and unless it's bad directing or
not-
or for some weird reason it's done on purpose, there's no way she wouldn't see.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's definitely there for a reason.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
exactly.
And in my head, I'm there going, oh, she knows her.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I think that's but I think that's
Yeah, no,
before-
that's cool. Yeah, no,
before
you're
we
right.
Cut to Naomi Watts. So, and we can come back to why that's there, but I just think that's a point that's part of
that's
the
cool.
narrative that's worth keeping in
And
mind.
then we get old Naomi, or Betty, as the character's known, arrives, starts, moving in, and then because her auntie is off filming in Canada, isn't she? That's where she's
I
from.
think that's what they say. Yeah, I forget now.
Which is an in-joke in itself, isn't it? But we'll come to that later on. Yeah, she's filming in Canada, and then
And at this point, Naomi Watts is fresh off the plane.
bright eye, bushy tail.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a star.
Like Thingy Bob off Grease.
Living in
Sandy
John.
off Grease,
Sandy.
Yeah.
Axl Rose in the Welcome to the Jungle video.
Not quite the same. Not quite the same. I know which one looked better in leather trousers. And so we got to that point.
So I was just picturing Naomi Watts in leather trousers.
Then we get to the bit you were talking about earlier on it with the diner at Winky's. We get a little cut to that near the beginning.
We do. So this is why I said earlier before we start recording, it's very difficult to do a narrative of this film without kind of
I'm
away to just
trying to do.
random
Yeah,
things. So I think it makes sense to just, if we're going to give a very kind of almost snappy synopsis of the film, is to ignore the stuff for the time being that doesn't involve.
okay. So just focus on Betty and Rita.
So the main narrative, if you like, of this film is Betty and Rita.
Yeah, so basically, the dark-haired lady is in the shower when Betty bumps into her.
But she's not having a shower.
Well, she had one, or she just stood there.
But she's just
The water's
standing
not on,
there.
so
Yeah.
she's just standing there. But as she doesn't look like she's had a shower because her hair's not wet when she comes out. Whether that's relevant or not, but it's
I
a
had
very
no
good
idea,
point.
but in my head,
No,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
there
yeah.
thinking, she's just. Did she have a shower without?
Yeah, it would be there for a reason. And so she comes out and she sees a Rita Hayworth poster, so she takes the name.
Rita.
My name's Rita. So she's got amnesia. She can't remember who she is, where she's been, what's going on. Apart from the fact that she's pretty sure she was in some sort of accident on Mulholland Drive. more or less, because they phone up the police. Then they phone the police, and that confirms there was an accident.
Yeah, but hold on. Betty doesn't instantly phone the police to try and get them to come and question this random stranger
not
that
at
knows
all.
nothing. It's like,
Well, no, she thinks
'cause
she's a
I've
friend
thought about
around.
this, and I think the whole setup and the way it's done, it's designed to be disarming to Naomi's character. She's just arrived in a house.
Yeah, it's the
that's not
naivety,
hers.
isn't it?
She's naive. She's just arrived in this house and kind of already trying to get her bearings around the house, but then she's confronted with a naked woman in the shower. It's immediately it's a disarming kind of scenario to find yourself in, and I mean, speaking as someone who's English, you're instantly apologetic. If you walk in on someone who's naked, no matter where you are.
Well, we apologise for everything anyway.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So it's like you're the one that's immediately disarmed, not the person who's standing there startled.
Well, a lot of the films that I've seen, it would be, oh, do you need a hand?
Well, we can come on to that later as well.
There's
There's like a penthouse letter moment, but so I think that's why that scene plays the way it does. She almost fills in the gaps she kind of answers for Rita in the conversation, because he's like, oh, I don't remember what it is now, but she never said you were going to be staying here. That's fine. It's but it just she just makes an assumption.
She must
and
have
then just
got to
carries
tell
it
me.
through.
Or
So that's why there's none of that kind of what you expect. What you like you say in most Hollywood films is like runs to the kitchen, grabs a knife, and goes, "What the fuck are you doing in my shower?" It's not her shower. It's
Get out my house.
a whole new environment for her. That's why it plays the way it does.
Sorry, Brett. Yeah, and as you were saying, they call the police from a payphone.
Yeah, and it confirms there was an accident, but that's all they can tell them. So then, I'm trying to remember now.
What
they find it. She
is
remembers a name, doesn't she?
Well, they're at the diner, aren't they? Then
yeah,
she
they're at the
sees
diner. She sees
the
Diane
name
written on
tag.
the name tag. So she's got Diane, and it's Diane Selby, not Selby. That's bloody Selwyn. Selby's Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, because Rita she looks at the band and kind of freaks out a bit, doesn't she? There's something there. Like...
Yeah, so she sees a Diane. She thinks Diane Selwyn. They look up Diane Selwyn. So at this point, what we're watching is a film noir,
almost a detective story. Yeah.
where we right. This is what we're doing. We're trying this film is going to play out where we're trying to find out who Diane is, who Rita is, whatever
and why they were trying to kill her off,
and why she was trying to be. Yeah, exactly.
And what's all that money about?
Yeah, and then from there it's.
So then they get an address.
They get an address. They get in a cab. Drive to the address. They see that there's two guys sat in a car.
Yeah, 'cause there's always been this ominous thing of like people searching for Rita. So that's kind of mentioned, isn't it? Because you see the phone calls about the girl is missing or something like that, and in the background, there's the.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
But you get this ominous threat that like someone is looking for her, and also we forgot as well. She's got a bag with a shitload of money in it, and a blue key.
Yeah, a blue key. So she goes off. They go off. But before that, we have skipped a bit. So she's up for a part that her aunt has got her an audition for.
Yep.
Rita is not Rita. Jesus.
Betty.
Betty's up for a part. So they do a
the Sylvia North story.
That's the one. So they do a read through of the part. Then she goes for the audition. The audition is completely different to how they read it in the kitchen. As we said earlier, the contrast between the acting in the kitchen compared to the acting in the real audition. The audition proper is so much more intense, so much more believable. Just almost tour de force of how to act out one scene and get so much backstory, passion, etc. into that one what
I'd have given her a role.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she does that. Then
and everyone is excited about her career, aren't they? She's amazing.
Oh, apart from the ex-wife of the director, that's basically saying, "Well, come with us because he's never going to make this."
Yeah, that's
film.
what I can say. So
she's excited. She thinks she's good, but she thinks the film's going to be.
Yeah, she's saying the film's shit. It's not even going to get made. She takes her off to go and meet. I was about to say Louis Theroux. To meet.
Now that would be a completely different film.
Justin Theroux.
Yeah. So she goes off, and this is where we see the girl, the one that is like been forced upon the director. But she doesn't necessarily at this point know that. As far as the film narrative is concerned, this is just someone else who's auditioning. She goes in. Her and the director have a moment, if you like. Their eyes meet, but then she suddenly remembers she's got to go. Now, is that she suddenly remembers she's got to go and she runs off, or she feels a little bit intimidated by the way he's looking at her? Could be either or. Either way, they go off, get in the cab, go to the address they've found for Diane Selwyn. Drive past, they see that there's two guys waiting outside, so they go around the back, they knock on the door. Someone else answers who says, "No, Diane doesn't live here, we've swapped apartments."
Yeah, it's like her ex-girlfriend or something, wasn't it?
Don't think it... I don't know if it's mentioned.
She said, "I'm going to go and get my stuff back." She said, "I'll come with you."
Yeah. She said, it's not... they don't live together, they've swapped apartments. Yeah. So she says, "No, we don't, we've swapped apartments. She lives in this two doors down or whatever." So they go there, and that they can't get in. They break in, the house thinks there's a corpse on the bed. They leg it. That's that bit over with, if you like. I'm trying to remember what happens next.
Yeah, from there, we'll be on in a minute.
Yeah, that's true.
From there, they go back to the house, and that's when Rita starts cutting her hair.
That's right.
And she says, "Don't let me do it." And she sort of trims it up a bit, and then she puts a blonde wig on and basically looks like Betty. Pretty much the same hairstyle. You know, it's like single white female all over again. Or before, I can't remember. No, after. Yeah, that was the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the 90s.
Yeah, and then they're in bed, and then they get jiggy with it, and then Rita sort of wakes up in the night and starts banging out some Spanish.
Yep.
And then says something about Silencio. And then they get in a cab and go to the club Silencio, where they get there, though, and in the club Silencio, they realise that you've got an MC there, and he explains that, like, everything is an illusion. Nothing you see is real. And you see, like, trumpeters playing, but it's all mimed. And then you see Rebecca Del Rio comes out and starts singing Crying by Roy Orbison, but in Spanish.
Yep.
And then halfway through, and it looks like a really good performance, and halfway through, she kind of collapses unconscious and sort of gets dragged off the stage whilst it's still going on, because nothing in Silencio is real. But I know we're doing the plot there, but can I mention a little detail?
But whilst that's happening, Naomi Watts starts shaking.
Yeah, that's like a seizure, isn't she? She's on a seizure. But just as a little aside, because it gets it out, as they walk into the club Silencio, about 3 or 4 rows in front of them are sat Laura Palmer and Ronette Pawlowski from Twin Peaks by the same actresses. Not mentioned, don't speak, just sat there. They're in the same place. And that gives us a huge hint that it's in the same universe as Twin Peaks, even though it's never mentioned, but they're there in character, dressed as they were in Twin Peaks, but it's just never mentioned. They don't speak to them. They're basically extras just sat there, but having those two sat next to each other in a chair in a David Lynch film there's something there. That's not by accident. So I was always hoping that the Club Silencio might turn up in the new Twin Peaks, but it never did. But yeah,
I'm not necessarily holding any water in the fact that it's set in the same universe, unless he's said it is. Okay.
Yeah.
You can say yes. You don't have to.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I forget that people can't see me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said that, and Lost Highway was set in the Twin Peaks universe as well. He said, but he's confirmed.
Okay.
But that's about the most you've ever got out of him.
I quite like Lost Highway. Yeah. But it gets proper slated. Anyway, let's not go down Lost Highway.
So then, so Betty has a bit of a seizure. You got the crying thing going on with the singer. She collapses. Some of the lyrics of crying might be important if you look them up to what's going on and what may happen. And then Betty finds this blue box in her purse, and it matches Rita's key. It's like one of those sort of puzzle box things you used to get, and you put the key in to open it up.
It's not like Hellraiser.
Well, I don't know. The thing behind the diner maybe is a Cenobite, but
That's what it was.
And the key's not a normal key as well. It looks kind of cool as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. At this stage, the key looks like a USB stick.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a fancy USB stick, which I'm not even sure existed back then.
Or a little safety deposit thing
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
So then they go back to the apartment, and as they get into the apartment, Betty sort of disappears, and Rita's like calling her, going like, "Betty, Betty," and then Rita unlocks the box. It falls to the floor, and everything turns to black.
Yeah.
Which is also, just as a side note, when there was an initial thing, we'll try to talk about this later, that this would be a TV series. That was the ending.
Yeah.
So, good luck on that one. Right, so, and then, that's when the change happens. Do you want to pick up on that bit? Or-
Well, no, I think that's the kind of narrative of the film, isn't it? Until we get to that very end bit. But I think we can't get to the last half an hour. We'll talk about the last half an hour without at least touching on the theories, the what everything previous to that last half an hour has all been about. So, Paul, this is probably a good time for you to if you have a theory, if there is nothing, then that's an absolutely fine answer. But do you have a theory about what this film is actually, what's going on, what that narrative, what we've just described, and then the last half an hour, what's going on in this film?
Well, I think that's the thing for me, okay, is because I've got no clue about theories or what other, these 10-point rule system is. But there's a few things in it, as I said, that from the get-go, I was looking out for, maybe going off down a rabbit hole. But the fact that, when Rita gets out of the car, is it actually her, or is it, something else? The way that she sleeps under a hedge and no one notices her, she goes into a house, and it looked to me that this woman sees her going in, and it's like, so I thought she knows her, that's fine.
Well, for me, it wasn't. She can't have not seen her. She doesn't necessarily acknowledge.
No, but
so that's, yeah.
But when I was watching it, it's like, oh, okay, so she lives there then. Why did she sleep under a bush? All right. Then it turns out that actually no one knew, she didn't know Rita. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, so I was wrong there then, but whatever. And then, so I guess there's this bit that I'm already thinking, well, who is Rita as such? Is she is she actually somebody? Is she a figment of someone's imagination? Is she part of Betty's other psyche? And I was kind of thinking, is it like a split personality? And is Betty actually coming there for the first time, or is Rita actually, part of her psyche? Because we spoke about the box and the key, and in my head I'm thinking, well, has actually Betty been there for a while, but this is just Rita now almost imagining herself as Betty, coming as the nicer the nicer face character, and that whole thing with the box and the key again to me was more the unlocking of the true personalities, or the real Rita, no Betty, the real Betty.
Yeah. It gets really hard because
I'd go with that.
especially if you try and then go the last half an hour, it's like, what do you call these people?
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, yeah, we haven't even talked about that bit yet.
Yeah.
So it was almost. I was trying to think. Okay, so Rita is this haggled. Well, not haggled. That's completely not the right word for it, because she's stunning looking person, but she's beaten up. She's bedraggled. She's got issues, and then you've got Betty. That's the complete opposite. And you're thinking, well, okay, are they linked together? And is Rita what Betty is going to be, or vice versa? Is Rita the subconscious bit of her, or the split psyche?
So kind of Fight Club-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was what was kind of going through my head, I just saw the box and the key at the certain point in the film that this is the switch or the switch up. This is.
So I think I was with you 100% that this is fractured mind type scenario, but I think, because it's literally just played out on screen there, I think the point where it becomes, this is not my current theory, but this is what I was thinking when I first watched it, that what you would call it, the
Reconnection.
reconnection. Thank you, Brett. The reconnection happens at the point where they find the corpse.
But
So because he kind of does it on screen where the camera goes wobbly, they go all blurry, and they almost
Their outlines kind of merge and come
they
back
merge
again.
and come back out,
But-
and
but
merge and
that's-
come back out.
But that's why, and we haven't even talked about, there are like 4 female characters in this, and I wasn't sure whether they're all part of her.
Whether they're all the same person,
At different stages of her life and career, if that makes sense, because we need to talk about.
Well, I disagree with that bit, but I think
Oh, you
what you
can
said.
do.
I was no, but I think what you said about up to that bit with the person, I think you're spot on.
Hold on, which bit? Just so I can
The
take the Scooby snack.
the personality, the different
split personality,
sides,
the
Right,
all that
okay.
sort of thing. The Fight
Yeah.
Club element,
Right. Okay. Cool.
and I'll go into that when we get into the other bit as well for my thing on that. But I think you're pretty much
Well,
for,
we can.
for,
I
th-
think,
for
'cause
that.
I think that's what your take of the film is.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we also there's also other bits
Yeah,
that we
That
haven't
don't-
even.
Yeah, and those bits don't fit that
Yeah.
theory exactly. And this is where I was 20 years ago.
I would
That bit doesn't fit.
I would
if
say
it's
they
that.
do.
Okay.
Should we do the next bit and come back? Do you think?
I don't know if there's a need to, because I think.
Oh yeah, no, there's a need to.
What do you mean by the next bit?
No, the
Talk about the last half
the
an hour of
last
the film.
half an hour. Yeah.
If you can, because go on then.
Okay, so after the fade to black, Diane Selwyn is waking up in a bed in the same apartment Betty and Rita were investigating, where they saw the dead body before. She looks exactly like Betty, still played by Miss Watts, but is a struggling actress, and she appears to be in some sort of deep depression. And over the scenes, we discover that she's had some sort of fling or sexual liaisons with the actress Camilla Rhodes, who now is Rita. Previously, she had been Angel from Home and Away,
Yeah.
Melissa George.
Melissa George. Yeah.
who is the girl. This is the girl you must cast. This is the girl. But now it turns out that this is Rita. We now know her name is. She's now known as Camilla Rhodes, and she's a successful actress. And she's looks like her and Diane who was Betty, have been linked up previously, as I say, and got very familiar with each other. And anyway, you see a kind of part where that's all come to an end now, and Camilla, it is hard, isn't it? Camilla is now spending a lot of time with the director, who's still a film director. So that he's okay. He's got still Adam something. I just remembered, but yeah, he's still a film director, and he's kind of the same guy. And then it turns out that Rita invites her to a party,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes to the party, and then we pretty much get a repeat of the opening scene, only this time with Diane in the limo going to the thing, and hey, we're not supposed to stop here. But this time when it stops and the door opens, you've got Camilla coming down the steps, and it's almost like a secret liaison, and she leads her up to the party, and Diane's all happy and smiling again because Rita's being nice to her, but or Camilla's being nice to her, but Camilla's a bit of a bitch, really, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's sort of she's brought her there, and it turned out she's getting engaged to the film director.
Well, we infer that. They never actually say it.
Oh, well, it's
'Cause
inferred that, yeah,
So
because they got big news.
Literally a week ago, if you'd have said to me they announced their engagement,
I thought they did.
I'd have gone, yeah. I'd have gone, yeah. You're right. I'd bet my house on it. They don't. They say we have an announcement to make or words to that effect, and they just laugh at each other.
Oh, yeah, but I think that's because we're seeing it as Diane, aren't
You
we?
know, but what I'm saying is-
no, you're right, yeah.
But we don't. We're just
Oh, that's good.
working
That's
on
weird.
that assumption.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it
I
wasn't.
would
until
have
watched
said
it
that as
the
well.
other week, the last couple of days ago. That's
And
what-
then as we listen, though, Diane, she talks about how, because different people were talking to her, and she says she came to Hollywood from Canada, and her Aunt Ruth had died and left her some money.
she won a jitterbug competition.
Yeah, won a
That's what
jitterbug
gave her the acting
competition.
bug.
Yeah, then she met Camilla at an audition for the Sylvia North story. She really wanted the role, but Camilla got it. And then we see Angel from Home and Away come in and sort of kiss Camilla on the cheek, and they who was the Camilla Rhodes in the previous
couple of
part
hours.
of the first couple of hours of the film, and then they sort of talk about, you can't hear what they're saying, but she sort of whispers, and they're sort of looking at Diane and sort of taking the piss, really,
Yeah.
by all accounts. You know, they're mocking her. They brought her there to embarrass the poor girl, and Camilla about to make an important announcement, but it kind of all goes into laughter, and they're sort of laughing at Diane, and she's sort of just crying. Then we cut to Winky's, the diner again, and Diane has got the bag full of money, exactly like we saw earlier, and she gives it to
The hitman.
Mark Pellegrino, who's the hitman, who seems a lot more got his act together
I was going to say, yeah.
here than he did previously, and he gives her a key and says, "Oh, when you see this key, you'll know that the job's been done, or whatever." Then
They go their separate ways.
then he's about to go, she sees the guy from right at the beginning of the film stood at the counter in the bit where he said he saw a guy stood at the counter, and they kind of exchange glances, and then they carry on. Then it kind of cuts, and you've got an upset Diane, sort of very uncomfortable scene to watch,
Yeah,
where she's sort of crying and sort of,
masturbating.
yeah, that's the word. I was going to say
We've all
strumming.
done it.
I was going to say strumming one out. I don't know if that's more correct. But and crying and that, and it's a really, it's quite a horrible scene, because this woman is sort of, it's I guess the Hollywood metaphor. She's been took in, chewed up, and spat out again, and then the keys. Or later on, we see the key on the table, and she starts. I think it's the realization that she's now, killed Camilla Rhodes, the woman she loves.
Yeah,
And then we see the door knocks, doesn't it?
that's it. Yeah, so that happens. She sees the key.
And then
the door
old
knocks.
and then the old people come in under the door.
Old people come in under the door. She shoots herself
She runs to the bedroom screaming, and she shoots
Yeah.
herself. And
in
then
the same bed.
and then you
Basically,
see
we see the corpse. in it.
corpse in, and it also kind of matches what you saw at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the Club Silencio, and there's a woman there with blue hair, and she just whispers "Silencio," and then it ends.
There we go then.
That's
See-
pretty much most of it, I think. Yeah.
And this is why I thought all those four women are actually the same person at different stages, and this is her trying to kill off bits of herself.
So when you say the foreman, you're saying Betty, Diane, Camilla,
Rita,
Yeah.
just at different stages of the career or life, different ways in which she perceives herself. And don't get me wrong, the only reason I'm thinking that is because it's a David Lynch film. If I was watching this from the get go, knowing nothing about it, it'd be, oh wow, those two are getting it on. Oh wow, oh now she's jealous, and now she's trying to kill her off. Oh, okay. No, actually, some bits I wouldn't be able to explain. But I was trying to rationalize these four individual women, and you've got the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed one, you've got the dead one at the end of things. You've got the Camilla.
The pre getting the part, Camilla.
Yeah,
Yeah.
post getting the part where she's got the lovely life. The stuff goes sour, obviously, at the end of the career, her career maybe, and she's all bitter and twisted, dies. So in my head, it was like, what's David Lynch trying to say about Hollywood? And the names, the Betty, the Ritas, Rita Hayworth, the Betty Grables, all that kind of good stuff. They're all, and some of the other people that we mentioned from Hollywood. There's always
there's the actual like full blown Hollywood 40s 50s stars in the film. The landlady stroke. The director's mother is, I don't know her name, I can't remember it now, but
it was her last role, wasn't it?
It was her last role, but in the 40s, and she was part of the studio system, and it's the same. I think not quite at the same level, but the guy who does the audition, he's a name as well. I don't know. I can't remember.
He
what
was
his
in
name
Murder She Wrote the other day.
was. But he was one of those.
He was
in
like
lot of
a
the 40s
Hollywood
films, and
leading
then
man type.
Became a continuous Murder She Wrote diagnosis murder
type dude. Yeah,
guy.
But in my head, it was like, is this Lynch's take on Hollywood? Takes you in, choose you
it's
out.
Very much.
I would say that
100%. That is the theme of the film, 100%.
And is he using these 4 female characters to show each stages of an actor's life?
I would say but I would say there were only 2 characters. But I'll explain my bit.
So
in
I
a minute.
think you're right.
But I think
The
you're
theme
right
of
on all the
film,
other bit.
The point that he's trying to get across in the film is exactly that. Is that Hollywood will take you in, chew you up, and spit you out. And so it's funny. So watching the that audition scene now post Me Too is even more uncomfortable. Yeah, post Weinstein, that I think that makes that film, even though nothing happens in it. To be fair, he obviously is a bit lechy and he's a bit too touchy-feely, because he says at the very start, I think I'm going to play this really tight and close and personal. So he's a lech.
But I didn't get that from the audition.
See,
because he was more standoffish, and don't get me wrong, I expected him to be, as you said, all over her, fondling her, manhandling her, but actually it was her living up to the part, her getting his hand.
Yeah, you're right. She grabs his hand, but I think the very first thing he says, I'm sure it's something along is, "I'm going to play this really."
Oh no,
tight
you're right. You're right,
Yeah,
and that's how I
Yeah.
expected it to go. But when she was actually auditioning, it was, to me, the complete opposite. Most of the scene, he was.
Well, she takes control of it.
Yeah.
So she kind of almost inverts that.
Yeah.
That.
Because she's this great, powerful
he
actress
becomes
and person,
her.
and she
He
can
becomes
take-
her puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think feeds into one of the theories about what's happening in the first 2 hours and what the last half an hour is. But either way, I think, regardless of what that scene means as part, it still for me was uncomfortable viewing post Me Too and Harvey Weinstein and all that. It just
To be honest, I was just
and it was uncomfortable enough 20 years ago. Now it's even worse.
for the first time with me watching it, and as explained earlier, after seeing the stiff, and that's no pun, the stiff acting through it, it just shone her acting abilities in that scene, as opposed to me picking up on anything else. But it was absolutely, I was expecting him to be a lech.
And as I said, I think like previously before that it's supposed to, because when we might as well get on to like the main theory out there, and I don't know if he's ever said this.
Does this relate to the 10 keys or whatever it is?
No.
Are we going to talk about the 10
We'll
keys?
do that in a minute.
We'll do that in a minute, and we'll
because
see how they.
Because I'm interested.
We'll
it
see how
just
they
feeds
fit
off
with the
this
theories.
conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the reason that she is such a good, her character is such a good actor in that scene is because, as the theory goes, the first 2 hours are a dream. So in that dream, she is damn good an actress as that audition shows her to be.
Right.
Whereas in the kitchen, when they're doing just that flat line rehearsal, when this is not very good, is what she really is.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's
Which does lead me on to: does the dream thing hold water in your mind?
I am the dream theory.
You
I
are
am
the dream
totally
theory.
the dream theory.
And is this why
Everything I've just been going through and watching as in the background as it's on is added to the dream theory.
And is it because I've heard something about the Mulholland DR, and is it Mulholland Dream? as opposed to Mulholland Drive. I was there going, "Look, is it Mulholland Doctor?" You never know.
Yeah.
Is she fucking, you know?
Yeah. She's on
listen,
an operating table
is it,
somewhere.
no, I meant psychiatrist.
Oh, right,
Type
yeah.
thing.
Because there's even a bit where I think when she gets to the house, she says like, "Isn't this dreamy?" There's
Yeah.
even some like clear bit when you watch it again, you're like, but there's also bits of like the and some in jokes as well, like the aunt in the dream has gone to Canada. Well, apparently in 40s Hollywood, if you went working in Canada, your career was dead.
Is that like in soap operas where they
Okay.
go to
Yeah,
islands?
and
Yeah.
apparently that was like a thing. Yeah, you know, like they say, "Oh, I'm going to work in Canada." That meant like you couldn't get work in America. You're shit,
Yeah.
basically. That
Don't
was
worry,
something like-
Ryan
yeah.
Reynolds. Things have changed.
But yeah, he made it big again. But like it's pretty much what you were saying. You know, it's her, Rita. Well, she's in love with Camilla Rhodes, who she in the dream has become Rita, and she's forgotten everything she's ever done. So she's almost created her perfect Rita. And it's too many names. And then as it's progressed, it's the subconscious of her trying to sort of wake her up. Maybe the drink and the drugs and whatever else she's probably taken is breaking through. A lot of the people we meet in the dream, like the hitman being awful and balls and everything up, is kind of her subconscious of maybe he won't kill her because she loves him, but loves her, and she's hired her to kill her, but she doesn't really. She hopes he fails, maybe something like that. The guy at Winky's and the monster behind it is sort of her conscience, and she just remembered him from seeing him in the dine. It's just one of those things. Like sometimes you just see things and then it
Yeah.
pops up in a dream.
yeah, we haven't
thing.
actually spoken about the monster.
Well, I think that's her conscience because it
Yeah,
unleashes.
but that's what
yeah,
I mean. But we focused on
yeah, good point.
Yeah.
those. We haven't looked at the peripherals.
And then
Yeah.
to me, the bit where when they're on their way to Club Silencio. This is also my other theory. As it goes on, Betty's clothes get darker. At the start, it's all pink, and she's got little diamonds, and they really pick up on the shine of it, on the little diamonds and the glows, because it's sparkly New Hollywood and all that. And as it goes along, she ends up in like dark greys, and they look at grey and red. So she's kind of gone darker. In the dream, so it's kind of that's her getting more and more closer to waking. That was the bit I was watching for tonight as it was on.
Okay.
And then when she's in the Club Silencio and the ladies, nothing here is real. No, this is her. That's why she has the seizure, because she's starting to. It's that bit in the dream where you're like, I'm dreaming.
yeah,
This
coming out
isn't
of it.
real. And then when they finish singing, crying, like you say, it's almost like it's the same. They're almost the same person by that point, and that's when the box appears, because it's like that's the guilt, that's whatever she's done, that's the real life or the way out the dream, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Once that opens, you're back to reality, love. And she's realised that now. She's had this wonderful dream. They're in love. Everything's brilliant. She's the world's greatest actress. Everyone loves her. But of course, it's not where it's gone. And also, she's got this thing about how like Hollywood are controlling, and how Hollywood, like her own paranoias about Hollywood or conspiracy theories. Everyone wants to cast whoever this Camilla Rose is. In the dream, it's Angel from Home and Away.
Melissa George.
Yeah, Melissa George, yeah. But everyone will know it better if I say Angel from Home and Away, especially in America.
Yeah.
But but she's blaming, and that's why maybe she didn't get the role in something, because it was all fixed because they wanted this woman instead. It wasn't on talent. There was this mass conspiracy to get whoever this Camilla Rhodes is. Then when we get to the wake up bit, and she went for this audition, but Camilla Rhodes got the role to the Sylvia North story, and then she sees the other woman at the party. She even sees the cowboy walk past in the background at the party. So again, just things that stick in your subconscious. And
Well, that makes the cowboy true to his word. Because he says to the director, "You will see me twice more if you make the wrong decision or you get
Yeah.
it wrong.
Yeah.
You'll see me once more if you get the right one.
Yeah.
So he sees the director at he sees the cowboy at the party, which is once more. He doesn't see him again.
So again, So again, maybe the Cowboys is supernatural.
I don't know.
I don't think it. I don't think it's him. But that's her. But that's her thing on how she views Hollywood, and like the crying songs about like, you know, I loved you, but you're gone, but you don't know I've been crying or whatever, which is what she's been doing the whole time, while crying and strumming. Yeah, so that's my it's the dream. So then we wake up and all the other bits are, you know, sort of clues to
so
the
you're
dream.
saying so the last half an hour
is the
is
real
all
life
reality.
Yeah.
So it's Wizard of Oz basically.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
So all the because
all the things you were there
think
and you were there,
when it goes back to black and white and Wizard of Oz, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You were there. You were there. You were so.
And he loves
okay.
Wizard of Oz. I never even thought of it like that before. Because that was what
Oh, I got a little sense of pride.
That
there.
was Wild
There's a
at
little
Heart.
munchkin in the
That
background
was-
hanging from a tree.
Because he did that with Wild at Heart, didn't he? That was almost what Wild at
Yeah.
Heart was.
Probably where I got it from. To be fair, I'm not going to.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not going to take credit for making it up.
He's not one to reuse things,
Yeah.
David Lynch. And the duality, and again, it's the duality thing which he loves. So you've got both. You've always got the duality of Betty and Rita. Then you've got the duality of Diane and Camilla Rhodes, and then the duality of both of those the other way
Yeah.
around, like their dream self and their real self. Yeah. So where were you going, sorry?
No, so the reason I don't like dream, like one word dream as an explanation for the first 2 hours and the last half an hour, because, and I can't now think of specifics, but there's some
gives you
things that just don't fit
flashbacks
there.
to Bobby getting out of the shower in Dallas.
Yeah, I just think I think it all, yeah, and I do think it is a little bit of a cop out. But in the same token, my thinking isn't far from that. So, the one thing that supports the dream theory, and it happens pretty much at the very beginning of the film, is the camera zooms in onto a bed.
Yeah, it's her collapsing
So,
on the bed, and that
yeah.
almost, as I say, almost does that full circle. By the end of it, we end up back at the
It
beginning.
almost does,
of her
because it's
collapse.
then the cowboy comes in and says,
It's time
time
to
to
wake
wake
up,
up.
pretty girl, or
Yeah.
something like that.
I think that she actually shoots herself at the very beginning of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're seeing in the next couple of hours is the brain in the death. So think Life of Mars or
Yeah,
Ashes
yeah.
to Ashes. It's the brain in the death throes, literal death throes, kind of processing and making sense of what's happened to get to this point. But I also think what the brain is doing is also making sense of the split personality theory. So I think it's actually an amalgamation of both those two theories in one thing, and that so what we're seeing is actually a kind is most of what we're seeing in the first 2 hours actually does happen, but it's really hard to explain without moving my hands, which is no good to people that are not that can't see my hands. But I can think Sam Beckett's string theory of quantum leap. So whether your life is like a one string,
Yeah. Oh, like a parallels.
yeah, but when it all tangles up, each part of your life can touch another. So what we're seeing, it's not
Multiverse.
no, it's not multiverse. It's just that all of what we see for the first 2 hours, some of it does happen, some of it doesn't happen. But what does happen, we're not seeing it in a linear fashion.
Yeah. No, I'd go with that.
And
But
they are one and the same person, and the brain does come back together at the end of not at the end of the film, at the end of the finding the body scene, and everything after that is definitely her coming to terms with it. But what happens before that is a bit ambiguous.
See,
The
I would
split personalities filled in some
have
gaps.
See, I would have gone with that if it ended with the box hitting. When she unlocks the box, it fades to black. It's just because it just goes far too much into trying to establish like Diane's life, and even the like a lot of the costumes and things that people have worn in the first 2 hours appear on other people in the last half an hour type thing as well. So one of the other theories was that, and when I first heard it, I thought that sounds quite clever, but then it wasn't. Was that the first 2 hours were the program or the film they were making, and the last half an hour was like the actresses in real life or the actors in real life. There was a
Yeah, I
thing
see
like
what
that.
you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But that
yeah,
was
yeah.
but that was one of the other theories. But I just credited that one. Now I like that, like the before death type thing. But
Yeah,
it's
what
just
I
that
think
last
is,
half. There's just too much in that last.
no, I
half
don't
an
think there is.
hour.
Like, I now can't. We'll see the last half an hour in a minute, but as in we will, you won't, listeners. But
Yeah.
well, unless you're trying to watch this at the same time as listening to
Yeah.
this, that would just screw
Yeah.
your head up. But what I'm getting at is what we're seeing is the entire narrative. It just isn't done in a
order.
linear
Yeah,
fashion.
I get what you mean, but I just think it's
So to
it's
say
too
the last
specific.
half an hour is reality and the first 2 hours is a dream, I don't think is, in my head, doesn't fit. There's a few things, and I know I should have written them down. I thought, I remember them. I won't bother writing them down. But there's some things that happen earlier in the film that don't fit the dream narrative. In the same way, they don't fit the split personality narrative. But actually, if you bring them all together, and that it's actually kind of both, and it all starts when she shoots herself at the very beginning of the film, and what we're seeing are kind of fragmented memories, all kind of
Playing off each other.
all playing off each other and all over the show. So they are, as we're looking at them on screen now, they're one and the same person.
And that kind of supports my thinking as well. And I'm not saying I'm right. I haven't got a clue. But again, that the whole it's still in my head. These 4 different women being the same person. This is her trying to process it. However that's happened, if she shot herself or whatever, this is her dying throes of what have I done with my life? How did I get here? And again, I still see that box and the key. And Brett, you could be right. That the kind of this is your way out of the dream, take the red pill, blue pill type moment.
Well, it's just everything. She's locked it all away to try and think.
But also playing devil's advocate to myself and Damien. Then is this her while she is in the final stages having that moment of clarity, and the box opening is that moment of clarity, which
that's what I said. If it
follows
was
on the next
if it was
30
the
minutes.
if it wasn't the last bit, like the box opens, that's her dying or whatever. When it all fades to black, I could see that.
Yeah, but my
that
point
is
is
the
that
last bit that throws me on that.
if you carry that theory all the way through right to the end of the film, it doesn't matter about the box dropping at that point. That box can drop at the beginning, the end, the middle, or
That just kicks
after the credits. Because,
in my head, that just kicks off the next bit in the process.
yeah,
Yeah, but
So it doesn't
she's vanished by then as well. Don't forget, Betty's vanished by the time that box.
but she
opens.
hasn't vanished because she was never there in the first place. If it's all kind of split personality, so she kind of and because what I'm getting at is that there's gaps that we don't see. So
Yeah,
the brain is processing in its final death throes what led her to kill herself. So she kills herself at the beginning of the film, and then what we see the entire next 2.5 hours is
kind
the
of
brain
the life
processing
flashing before her eyes type
that
thing
kind
in
of
its
thing.
own
So
way. Yeah,
it won't happen in a particular order. So she could well have stumbled across Aunt Maud's house. I can't remember whatever the
Aunt Ruth.
Aunt Ruth. She could have stumbled across Aunt Ruth's house that same night that she gets out of the limo. For whatever reason, she gets out of the limo, but she was never there for any long period of time. It's just that split personality is filled in those gaps. So when she disappears because she was only there for a day, but she's filled in that bit in her head.
no, I get you on that, but I still think
It's only because I'm trying to
It's-
make
yeah, no,
something
no,
better
no,
than just a dream, because that
no.
annoys the shit out of me if it's just a dream.
But I think it is. She is. I don't think it's so much of a split. It's more a construct.
But the dream also doesn't.
It's
What else
Diane's
is going on with the other characters in the dream?
It's her trying to explain what happens to her. She hears at the party. She hears about the pool man. So that just plays out. She plays that out in her head because she says about what does he say? She said, I got the pool, she got the pool man, or something.
Yeah.
He says, don't he?
Okay, but so when is she having the dream then?
Yeah, but the dream.
That's after the dream.
Well, the dream is her collapsing at the start,
Yeah.
and then when she wakes up, she's wrapped
She
with
goes
guilt,
to the
and that's
party
when
and hears
bang,
about the
yeah.
pool man. So how can she be dreaming about the pool man
If she hasn't.
if she hasn't
No,
gone
no,
to the party
she's
yet?
no. When she collapses at the end, it's the same time as when she shoots herself at the end. You know, she's collapsed. We're seeing the bit in between, whether she's passed out, whether she's done or whatever. And then at the end is when it all kicks in, the guilt kicks in, and then once she's killed, I don't know if when we collapse at the start, I don't know if the key has appeared that she's killed Camilla. You know what I mean? So then she wakes up hammered, the key's on the table. It's like, oh shit, what have I done?
Well, she can't have killed Camilla at that point because she goes to the party. Camilla's there.
Yeah, but that's all. None of that's in. Well, it's on that. This is all like flashback. This is real life flashback for the characters, not real life for the actors, obviously. Because all we get is this is almost the last half an hour is like a montage. Really,
I'm still not getting how she can dream about stuff that she hasn't come across
So
yet.
the dream theory is the first 2 hours are a dream. The last half an hour is reality.
yeah. But
So-
she's
wait.
experienced.
If
She's
she-
experienced this reality before the dream.
So when does she shoot herself?
At the end. The end when the everything finally catches up with her, that's when she just freaks out and kills
So what you're
herself.
saying is that this now last half an hour is a flashback.
We're just getting a montage of everything that happened before.
Out of sequence.
Yeah.
So the dreams, that's
So the whole we got the dream bit. Everything we see in here, like some of it, we saw her when she's with Camilla Rhodes. We know, but then we see her when they break up. We're just getting like the highlights. It's almost like the bit at the end of Scooby Doo where they show you, well, that's because you put the paint on here, and that was what made it radioactive, and that's what you've done here. Because like we see it here, like the bit at the moment, she's just if you anyone listening, she's just arrived at the party and come up the stairs where she's been
wearing
invited
a
by
sexy
Camilla
little
Rhodes.
number.
If you'll notice, the mother is wearing the same outfit as there, but in a minute someone's got the red dressing gown on. But at the moment she's happy to be there, and Camilla's like, ha ha ha. And we again, in a minute that's gonna turn on her, and she's gonna realise she's just been taken there to made a mockery of. But it's all clip highlights. We don't see the whole night. We just get like the highlight. Then it cuts to her.
I still don't get with that though is when the dream takes place.
Well, the dream. Well, at the beginning, we see this. We try to get. So we've got Diane is, I don't know, drunk or on drugs or whatever she's up to, collapses on the bed. We get like the whole first 2 hours of the film, then the bit where she wakes up. But the bit from when she wakes up is we get like a fast forward the main bit is she wakes up, goes to books the hitman. We get the flash. He does the job. She's guilty. She feels guilty. The scary old people. Oh, I can't believe I've done it. Boom.
But she has a
ends
dream
up
about
dead.
the hitman before she meets the hitman.
Yeah, but she's
I
already.
think you're supposed so in that theory you're supposed to buy into the idea that she already knows the hitman,
Right.
Because
Yeah, it's the
almost
guilt.
that would fit.
Because that's
that-
why the hitman's shit in the dream. Because deep down, she doesn't want him to succeed.
Yeah. But also, if you think about
That's- and
if you
just
look at
realise
Naomi
about-
Watts when she meets the hitman in this in
Yeah.
a minute, she very much looks like the character that is with the hitman earlier on
Yeah,
in the film.
that's
It's
the
walking
guy.
with
I think that's the
nipples
guy from
sticking
the
out.
diner with different hair, who's with the other guy.
No, it's not.
Is it not?
No.
Not the one that's.
No, no.
Oh, it looks like him.
No, it's not.
Okie dokie. But
He's-
yeah,
he's
so
just- that's the first you see of him.
Okay.
The guy sitting next to her
Just
in the
look at him.
party.
I'm just wondering because people appear, but it's like because everyone in the dream again, it's Wizard of Oz. Everyone in it is there
Yeah,
somewhere.
I get that, but
But yeah, I would say
I think
that's
for me
why
the reason I
in the
don't like the dream
hitman's
theory is just that
shit.
it's too much of a cop out.
I think it's more of a. I think it's maybe a journey through the subconscious as well, and it's that kind of. That's why the hitman. That's why the hitman shit in the dream because she doesn't really want him to. No, she's all like, "I want that bitch dead," but then she's like, "Oh, but I love her. Maybe she will come back." You know, it's almost.
Well, you say he still does kill the original guy that he's supposed to kill, plus a vacuum cleaner,
Yeah.
a scary ass,
And a cleaner.
and a cleaner,
And a
and that scary ass lady that's like,
Well,
bit
she's
me
not
real
scary.
bad.
She has been shot,
yeah,
so she's a bit perturbed.
Seeing here, like she's just taking in all
yeah.
the
It's
other.
not good for a podcast if we just
I
start staring
know.
at the screen. So
We're still at the party. Yeah. So that would be my thing. Yeah. So the real life in speech marks bit is just sort of like the montage of everything that we've seen in the dream, but explaining it in more, in the real life terms, translating it into where she's, where those bits came from in the dream. So the actual timeline on it, I mean, this could be over months. This could, because she looks quite together when she's at the party being stitched up.
Yeah.
And then when we see her later on, she's a bit more, I don't know what they've done, if they wedged something between her teeth or what, but suddenly the teeth are a bit more bucked. She looks a bit more used and abused.
okay.
It might be Melissa George's old teeth.
So shall we look at the 10 keys?
Yes. The 10 keys
10
to
keys.
unlocking Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. What
So,
are these keys?
for
Where do
background,
they come from?
These keys were in the sleeve notes of the DVD or
Yeah,
a
it was
card
just
or
literally
whatever.
like a little insert
It was a little
inside
insert.
the DVD.
Was it a card? I don't know.
Well, it was just the normal, just a card with like the 10 things on it, and
I like to think it was, in my head, handwritten.
He literally wrote each
Yeah.
one for every. But anyway, 10 keys to unlocking this thriller. They came out when were in part of the DVD package, probably in the Blu-ray package as well. If you got one of them, which we just go through each one and all have a little bit of a chat about it,
I
and then move on.
think,
Yeah, so I
that
won't
sounds
read
good
them all
to
out
me.
at once.
So you two know about these keys?
No, I only found
Right,
out about these keys today.
Okay, fine.
So
Because I already feel about 20 years at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
So as
but-
long as these secret keys
No,
are new to someone
these
else.
keys could actually just piss
we've-
on everything I've just said for the last half an hour. All
we-
my
yeah.
thing about it being the death throes
I'm
of her.
sure we've talked about these at some point over the years.
Yeah, but I might
Well,
just
and
shut
I
off.
haven't. Okay,
I know
so
we know but that's your gimmick here. You are the.
I'm not a
you're
gimmick.
It's not a
I'm
gimmick.
more
No,
than a gimmick,
no,
Brett.
No, but your gimmick. You're the fresh blood in this
I was going to say,
episode.
don't
You're
use the V
new-
word.
Yeah, but from my perspective, you may well have talked about these
Yeah.
10 keys, and I might have gone.
Doesn't mean
I'm
he
not
was
having that
listening.
conversation. I just don't want to revisit this
Yeah.
conversation again.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
So anything that I read out may well piss on my. These are the death throes of her, and she kills herself at the beginning. So I'm at some point I might stop reading and go, bollocks. That's me. It's my theory out the window. Anyway, so number one. Pay particular attention to in the beginning of the film. At least 2 clues are revealed before the credits.
Well, again, there are lots of interpretations on this. Obviously, the obvious one is the jitterbug contest that we see. Well, the music, the dancing, and there's talk of the jitterbug thing. You can kind of hear. Well, Diane claims that she won, and that led her to acting to Hollywood. And Betty says something about she won as well, or whatever it is. But you can kind of hear the name Betty in the opening sequence, which, if you can. And the fact that Betty's not real, she's the dream of Diane, that could put a different spin on it. Because
Hold on. So both Diane and Betty said they won this competition.
I don't remember Diane.
No, but that's what you just said.
Diane says when they're at the dinner party, she said, "Oh, I won a jitterbug contest," and that
Yeah,
got me.
so in the last half an hour.
Yeah, so the Diane is real. I'm using Diane and Betty as the same person in my explanation. Sorry, so I'm talking.
Okay, let's say
Naomi Watts. Naomi Watts. Diane says about it at the dinner party,
Yeah.
and
So they both don't say it.
I know, but we
So if you
assume
look
it's
at them-
Betty because we see
Yeah.
Betty. Yeah, but the fact that you hear a Betty could suggest that maybe Diane didn't win. Then.
Or it comes back to my idea, and I don't think I'm right because I've only seen it once, but they're the same person. Diane is Betty, Betty is Diane. That sounds like a song there.
But then John Cougar Mellencamp
Yeah.
did it, didn't he? And then but then we get the sort of washed out image overlay of who we believe is Betty with the old couple. So that could imply it's a bit ghostly. Is she dead? Is she dying? Which plays into your ballpark of the life on Mars theory, as we'll call it. You know,
let's
that
call it. I
maybe
like
she
that.
is dying, and
And I'm jumping on a bit of that theory as well because that plays into my theory.
Well, yeah, my whole life on Mars thing
Yeah.
fits with the split because
Yeah.
I think they are what we're seeing when she's dying
Is
in
a
that
trying to rationalise
Yeah.
it.
is a rationalising the two splits that she's had.
but when you look at the dancers, they're all duplicates
Of.
the same. It's the same couple. Most of the, like there's a
Yeah.
couple. And
Right.
again, duplication is the whole film. The duality. You've got Betty being Diane. You've got Rita being
John Mellencamp is in my head.
You've got Rita being Rita and Camilla Rhodes.
But they're not duplicates, are they?
Well, it's the same.
No,
You've got
no,
the
no.
same.
So,
You've got the
yeah,
same
no,
actress playing
Yeah, but
different roles.
that's not a duplicate though, is it? So if you go to like we said earlier, the Wizard of Oz thing where
Yeah.
you were there, you were there, you were there. They're not duplicates of that character. They're substitutes, if you like.
Reimaginings or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a duplicate though, is it? That's a very specific, different thing.
Yeah.
Duplicate is. You could argue that the director is a duplicate because in the dream, if you hold the dream theory, the director doesn't change. He's the same. He's
Yeah.
the same in the dream as he is in reality. And also, there's another character who's the same. You could argue maybe the same, but so the hitman is the same. He's a hitman. He might be a bit shit in the
dream,
first.
yeah.
No, well,
Well,
he's
it might-
not
yeah.
shit. He's
Incompetent.
but still gets the job done. So those two characters, they're not duplicates. Or, no, sorry, they are duplicates. They're the same, just two sides of the same coin, if you like.
Or maybe
But-
maybe not
But
duplicate.
Betty
Maybe
isn't, or
maybe dual personality then, rather than maybe duplicate or like a dual personality, because it's just a repeat.
But then every trope we see of dual personality, they're different people. So Fight Club, for example, is Ed Norton and Brad Pitt.
Yeah, well, I'm
what's
just
the
thinking
film
of
with,
the.
I got to get this out now. The film with John
Caine.
Cusack, where
Oh.
he ends up in a motel. I forgot what it's called now. That's really annoying because I love the film. It's
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Identity. Have you seen Identity?
I don't know.
So you've got it's John Cusack, Ray Liotta. No.
I just said Hot Tub Time Machine. Don't pinch my lines.
But basically, it's like the film is there's a guy on death row and he's sat in a like on some sort of like parole committee, if you like.
Oh, maybe not talk about it too much,
Yeah, I won't.
just in case.
Fair enough. I'll stop.
This could
But
be week 4.
That's all about split personalities and stuff like that. But they're portrayed by different people, but they're the same person. So that, unless he's completely kind of trying to subvert that trope, which he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
do, 'cause
I'm just
he
reading
holds on.
in,
He actually, David Lynch likes to use the tropes and either extend them, take the piss out of them, or just
twist them on the
twist
head,
them on the
somewhere,
head or
yeah.
whatever. So I think the two clues that he's referring to in this is the first. You're right, the jitterbug.
Yeah.
I won the jitterbug contest. Blah blah blah.
They both
But
did.
the camera zooming in on the bed because all of that
that's the next
that
bit.
happens
And
between
you also hear-
before the credits.
Anyway, look,
Okay, so
Right.
next is,
I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm allowed to.
Yeah, you can. Notice appearance of the red lampshade.
What the
See, I don't.
WTF?
I can see it in my head, but
There
you get
are-
a red lampshade when later on in the film when the phone rings and it goes straight to voicemail and she says hi, leave a message or something. There's
Hold
a
on,
red
I'm
lampshade.
trying to think of.
Yeah,
red
so you've
lampshade.
got a red lampshade when at the beginning when Mr. Rourke, who's played by the small person from Twin Peaks in the big bodysuit, he's phoning a girl trying to get next to him. You see the phone ringing and no one answers. That's got a red lampshade next to it, and it also looks like Diane Selwyn's phone when they find the dead body, the decaying body later on. So it almost hints that that might have been who he was trying to reach, but we don't know. So, you've got the Hollywood conspiracy reaching out for Diane, I guess. And that's 2 occasions. There's a third one when it's the hitman talking to the prostitute lady. It gets in the van as well. But I guess that could be.
Where's the lampshade in that?
It's on the desk on the table, but it could be just
Alright.
like selling herself out for Hollywood, because she does look a bit like Betty, doesn't she? The waitress, the prostitute lady, when it gets in the van, and there's the other
Yeah.
dude in no jacket as well. So that could be a selling yourself out symbol. But I think the main one really is the Diane one by the phone. That's the person he's trying to do it, and then
Hold on, go through that. Which? So you got the guy from Twin Peaks.
the man from another place from Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
He at the beginning, they're looking for the girl, and he makes the phone call.
Yeah.
And you see the phone ringing, and there's a red lampshade next to it.
Right.
And no one answers.
So
But
that's
later
the girl.
on,
He's phoning the girl.
the girl, which later on, when we go to Diane Selwyn's, apartment,
Yeah.
and she's decaying on the floor, there's a red lampshade next to the phone there, and it looks like it's the same one.
Right. So he's phoning the girl. The girl is Diane. The girl is Camilla
Rhodes.
rather. And Camilla is Betty. Camilla is Rita. They're the same person.
And that is the same phone is used then later on when
He's saying that pay attention to the lamp.
I know, but that's the phone that's
Popular
being
phones.
used when Diane knowing gets picked up for the party, when at the end when she goes
Yeah.
to work. So
that's the point. That's the one I'm trying to get
Yeah.
to. So, the lampshade is next to the phone. When she phones, the answer machine kicks in, and it's hi, it's me, blah blah blah. She picks up, and the car's
Yeah.
waiting.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So I think the main bit on that is I think the red herring one is with the prostitute, I guess, with the
I don't
the
remember
hitman
seeing
bit.
the
But
lampshade.
I think that's just a throwaway bit to sort of, because he likes doing that to piss people off. But I think the main bit is it's the same phone all the way through.
For different people.
But the
No.
same person.
Exactly. Which is what we are saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Key number 3.
Can you hear the title of the film that Adam Kesha is auditioning the actresses for? Is it mentioned again?
It's the Sylvia North story. The crazy bit is in the what I call the dream sequence. You can only pick up the title if you've got the subtitles on, because it's on a tannoy in the background. Like really, it's like audition now for the Sylvia North story, and it just comes out of the thing. It's got like tannoy. But when you watch it, you hardly even hear them saying it.
Right.
So that's a really sneaky one to pick up. But then when you hear the title later on in the film, it was the film that Diane was auditioning for when she met Camilla Rhodes. And Camilla
Yeah,
Rhodes
she
got
says
the
that,
role.
yeah.
And all that bit. So in the dream sequence, as I call it, she's gone for that audition, and that's the audition she runs out of. And that's the one where Camilla Rhodes is Angel from Home and Away.
Melissa George.
And and she gets the role because that's the girl.
So that's fine. So that's three of the 10 clues to look out for. But none of those 10 clues tell you it's a dream or it's split
I still don't
personality,
even know what the
or it's a
third
death
clue
throes.
is saying.
Well, no, it's saying basically in the dream, it like obviously that.
What's the
does-
title of the film?
The Sylvia North story.
And who's Sylvia North?
Well, apparently, she's not, but it's hinted
Well, then
at.
that's what I'm saying. So who is she?
No, but it's hinted at that she's a tragic Hollywood starlet.
Right, which supports my idea that this is showing Hollywood
No,
tragic
we-
ends.
we
I think
agree
that's a
with that.
given.
We're-
Not to take
We're
anything away
agreeing
from
that.
what you're
We're
saying.
agreeing with
Right,
that.
so maybe he's just saying, look, that's it.
Yeah, I think this is actually just a clue to the theme of the film.
Yeah.
Not whether it's a dream or not.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I mean. That could just be done. Right, key number 4. Key number 4.
An accident is a terrible event. Notice the location of the accident.
Well, Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive.
is the main one, and Rita gets mugged there, and then we get the bit later on is where Diane gets stopped. But again, I think the big fit on that is it's almost the same scene, but in the dream, as I call it, in the dream theory, it's Camilla Rhodes that gets injured in that and gets amnesia, and then goes to Betty for help, not remembering who she is or what she does, and sort of falls in love with Betty. In my theory, that being that the accident leads her to becoming what Betty, as she is in the dream, wants her to be, rather than the person she actually was. But I think the main thing with that is it's both the same place. The bit where she picks her up for the party, which leads to her in what I call the real life, her downfall, her mental breakdown, whatever, is the bit in the dream where she, she meets her, gets attacked and has amnesia and runs off into the night.
I'm not buying that.
I'm not sure there's anything to buy there. That's a bit washy. No, I've got no other thing to come back. Yeah, I've got nothing to come back with apart from, Mulholland Drive's probably famous street in Hollywood. Who's lived there in the past? Maybe there's some big actresses that killed themselves.
It's a famous road. It's the name of the film, for Christ's sake.
Could the accident be that she went to the party? She shouldn't have gone. She knew she shouldn't have gone, but she went, and it went tits up in her face. And could that be the accident? No, she went there, and then that's what she knew. She's like, oh, maybe this will be the time she likes me, and she doesn't. She gets stitched up again. Is that the accident? Because
as we're talking, I'm trying to wrap my brains if there's anything else in the film that could be considered an accident, and there's not. I don't think. Other than he accidentally shooting the lady through the wall, but I think that's just there for comedy effect more than anything else. Okay,
because it's almost because in the dream one, she sort of walks through the forest and finds Betty, whereas in the real one, if you will, it's her that leads Diane through the forest to the party, but then it all goes wrong. They're like opposites. She leads her to the party and stitches her up.
They're not opposites. They're two different scenarios. I think it's a stretch to say.
Well, in one finds the other one and something good happens.
And go hide out in an apartment. It's the opposite to going to a party.
But she goes there and is saved by her, and she saves her, and everything's brilliant, and she loves her, and they almost live happily ever after. But she remembers it's a dream. Or in the other one, she meets her, gets led to the party, and it's dreamlike on the way up there. Then when she gets there, she gets absolutely shit on.
Yeah, I guess the outcome is opposite, but I don't think they're opposite. They're not opposing.
Well, it's the other way around, isn't it? That's what I'm saying.
It's a stretch. Okay, so the next one is who gives a key and why?
Okay, 3 keys are given. The first one that is truly given by Coco to Betty when she first arrives at her aunt's house. This lets Betty get into her aunt's house and where she meets Rita.
Yep.
Who was stuck in the house after sleeping on the floor, etc., as we've talked about before. Second key is found by Betty and Rita at Club Silencio near the end of the fantasy dream section, if you will. And that's what Rita then uses to open the blue box.
But no one gives her that key.
Well, it appears in the bag. We don't know who
exactly, but who gives the key and why?
And the third one is the key that's left for Diane by the hitman for proof that Camilla has been killed. The completion of the deed, which maybe riddles Diane with guilt, blah blah blah, and sends her crazy and pushes her over the edge. But then, if you say in the actual giving of a key and receiving, it's only was it Coco giving it to Betty?
Only Coco
is the only actual key that is actually given and received. The hitman leaves a key.
Okay,
he doesn't give it. If you want to be pedantic.
I wasn't being pedantic.
No, I'm just saying. I am. I'm just like in a.
She finds there's a difference between finding a key and being given a key.
Yeah.
I mean, the hitman, you may not see it, but it still gives her the key because he says you'll see this key when it's done. So it's him that's given her the key on the coffee table. How or why? We don't know. We don't know how he's managed to get into an apartment, put a key on the coffee table, and leave.
But
Without
I
using
would
a trace.
say the Coco bit, I guess maybe Diane sees her as maybe friendly. Maybe that's why she gives her the key in the dream to let her in, because even she's a bit cobby that she's late for the party, but when she realizes, she clicks what's going on, doesn't she? She sort of sees that Rita's sort of showing her out, and she can see she's upset, and she sort of puts her hand on her and says, like, here, or I can't remember. She does.
She does.
She
You're right,
sort
the
of
hand is across the table,
console. Like,
but
she sort of console because she can see that she's being stitched up.
I don't
So
know. See,
maybe
I
Diane
see
sees
her
that
more
as
as a waspy character. I think if we go with dream sequence, I think in the dream sequence, the landlady Coco is nice, fluffy,
friendly. Warns her,
friendly,
doesn't she?
looks after people, can see. Is exactly that. Is
Hmm.
you're fresh in Hollywood. I'm going to look after you and make sure, like, what happened to me doesn't happen to you, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the whatever she's protecting her from, she's protecting her. In the last half an hour, when you see the Coco character, or
Yeah, 'cause
what
she's
is
the
basically
director's
the
mother,
director's
isn't
mum,
she? Yeah.
I think she's more waspy. I think she isn't.
And I think
nice.
she's like that at the beginning, but I think that bit.
So, for some reason, we lost the recording, or the recording stopped. Don't know what happened. So we were talking about keys. From what we can remember, we were talking about what's her name being a bit waspy. Brett, over to you.
Yeah, there were 3 keys given during the
Here we go.
the
He's had
movie.
the opportunity to do a little bit of research whilst
Yeah.
whilst I was fucking about with the.
I mean, the first one was given from Coco to Betty when she first arrives at her aunt's house. That allows Betty to get into the house, meet Rita, who snuck in, etc., etc. So, first key, Coco gives it to Betty. The second key is found by Betty and Rita at the Club Silencio near the end of what we were calling the dreams, or what I would refer to as the
Yeah.
dream sequence, before you correct me. And then Betty gives it to Rita, who, when they get back to the house, uses it to open the blue box. When then Betty's disappeared, etc. As the moment the key and the box are present. And the third key is left for Diane by the hitman as proof that Camilla has been killed. And this is what triggers the guilt and the, I guess, mental breakdown of Diane that we see towards the end of the film.
Okay, so none of that points to, in my head at least, none of that points to either theory. It doesn't point to the split personality theory. It doesn't point to the dream theory. It just
I'd say the
tells
hitman key would show you the reality bit of it to me, because that would be evidence that, you know, that the hitman and the fact that Diane is real and not a, you know, that element of it, as we said.
Naomi
is
Watts Diane is real.
Yeah, Naomi Watts Diane is real. She's gone to the hitman with the bag that was exactly the same as the bag with the money in it. Has gone, you know, paid off the hitman. Then sort of.
Yeah, I get that. I get that it
That would be
tells
my
you
bit
stuff
that
is
proved-
real, but it doesn't tell you that everything before
but then
that
at
is a
the
dream.
same time, Coco giving the key to Betty when she first arrives, is we later learn that Coco is actually the director's mum. So,
Yeah.
So, so would that not discredit that scene then of why she would be there giving Betty a key to her aunt's house to begin with?
I don't know. Does it? Does it discredit anything?
Well,
What do you mean by this? What?
Well, mate, you know, it's not reality in speech marks because she's not that person. She's actually the director's mum. She's been put in that role in the dream reality, but in real reality, that's not who she is or what she would be doing. So it would disprove that what's going on there is actually really taking place in reality.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
But it still doesn't necessarily mean that it's a dream, does it?
Not necessarily, but reality. I said reality. I didn't say dream. in that that would discredit that reality
Okay,
because
fair
the
enough.
character's not in the right role of who they are.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. Clue number, whatever number we're on.
Number 6.
Number 6. I've just got them written down. I've
That's
got
right.
numbers next to them. Notice the robe, the ashtray, the coffee cup.
Okay, the robes. Betty's aunt leaves her a robe, but she never wears it. She gives it to Rita. So Rita's walking around all the time with the posh red and
Yep.
sort of black one that we see. Betty herself ends up in sort of a pink bathrobe that you see her sort of rolling around in. She wears it in the rehearsal scene when they practice in the kitchen. So you've kind of got this sort of pink, clean, honest robe. But then you've got this sort of saucy, posh red robe. Maybe the red being desire, that sort of thing. The pink might be virginal, if you will, the innocence, etc. And then later on, so later on when we see Diane, she's got a dingy white robe that's sort of dirty and all that. So you could say the robes reflect maybe the characters.
I'm with you, except, and I don't know if this is exactly how it's written in the DVD box, but what I've got in front of me is notice the robe, not robes.
Okay, well, it could be one of those.
Okay, yeah. So notice the robe. Okay, so she's been given the robe's been left by the aunt, but rather than wearing it herself, she allows Rita to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's again that's in my head supports the Fight Club theory, is that she sees Diane in the robe.
But but in the dream, it's her. It's not real. Diane is her. No, Rita is her ideal Diane, isn't she? She's not really, or what I call the dream reality. It's not really Camilla. It's Rita is like her perfect Camilla. It's her creation of her. So maybe she does want to dress her up perfectly. Maybe she wants her to have the best. Because it's her, like you were saying earlier, she's almost created her to be her dream woman. She's lost her memory, so all the bad stuff she used to be and what she thought of has gone now. She's saving her. She's protecting her. She's the one in control in the relationship. She's the really good actress who's helping the other one out. It's like the role reversal, really. So maybe it could be that way.
Okay, so that's the robe. What about the ashtray?
The ashtray.
So for me, the ashtray is the only thing I can think about. The ashtray is when the person who swapped apartments. I don't know if she's ever named. She comes back in and says, "This is I want my stuff." My plates or whatever it is. She picks up the box. That's mine too. And she goes across and she picks up an ashtray. I think it's a piano. Yeah, she picks up the piano ashtray. And then that's more or less the end of that scene. When the key's placed back down by the hitman, if you like, you next see the key next to that ashtray. That's the only thing I can think of with ashtray.
No, that's one of the points I've got, which again to me would show that what I call the real life bits are probably not, like I say, it's more a montage. It might not be linear. I think that's the big clue. It's not linear because you see her take it, but then it's there later on. So that must have happened before she came around and got her stuff back.
Okay.
That's the only reason, to make sure it's a big fuck off piano ashtray. There's a reason he's put that in there. So the only thing I can think of is to show it's not non-linear, and to show, maybe not everything you're watching's in the right way around. It should be, which is David Lynch 101 anyway.
But that's why.
The only other one, so I was just going to say, is the ashtrays around by the red lampshade now. They've just got all like thick lipstick on them, which would suggest that Camilla and Diane have spent time together. But yeah, I think this piano one, to me anyway, because it's big enough to notice. You know, like they've made a
Yeah.
point of it, and she makes a big point of, hey, that's mine, give it back. It's almost like Chekhov's ashtray. You know, it's there for a reason. And I think it's just to show that maybe this isn't in the order you think it is. I guess.
Okay.
I know. And the coffee cups. Well, we got the one from Winkies that's in there. I think it's just more when the stuff gets taken back by the neighbour or whatever she was. You know, we kind of get like it's everything switches. So maybe that's part of the downward spiral because the next thing you know, she's got like a glass of whiskey with the ashtray still, with the piano ashtray still. But is it like, are we seeing the further, you know, the coffee cups are gone now? She's on a further decline, maybe.
I
sort
don't
of
know.
Drinking more.
At the pool party, Diane sips coffee from a cup that has SOS written on it.
Oh, there you go, a bit of symbolism.
Well, I've done some looking up, but
Yeah.
these
No,
keys.
do it.
Fair
Keep
dues.
going, keep going.
Yeah. So is this a cry for help me? The cup sports the same colours, but different style and pattern as Luigi's espresso cup earlier.
Definitely SOS because the party was the horrible incident for her, wasn't it? So,
This whole Luigi thing as well, him not drinking coffee.
but no, he drinks it, but it's not good enough for him.
Yeah. But how...
So is that a Hollywood dig? I mean, that could even be for the way Lynch is. There might even be a Hollywood higher up that's who he's like. You know what I mean? He's just put that in because
Yeah.
you know, like I don't know.
But he literally can't swallow it.
He doesn't like the taste.
Yeah, I
like
know,
you
but
said,
that's what I
hopefully
mean.
He likes this one. He's literally, oh, this is horrible, and he spits it out. So that could be, I don't know. But maybe do a bit more research now. But that wouldn't even surprise me if there was an executive who was like that, and he just put it in because he didn't like him,
Yeah.
or something
Okay.
like that.
So I think, in the interest of time, it's probably worth kind of trying to rattle through these a little bit quicker.
Yeah, we can do it.
So, we just done the coffee cup, the ashtray, and the robe. What is felt, realised, and gathered at the Club Silencio? No idea.
I would say sadness and fear are felt because it's quite sad as the crying. The fear, because we said about Betty like having the seizure, freaking out, kind of thing. The whole realizing nothing is real. It's all recorded.
So I wouldn't say fit. I would say there's a sense of foreboding
Maybe foreboding.
is-
Yeah, I see what
is
you
a
mean, yeah.
better word for that. And then
Yeah.
realised is nothing you see is reality. Blah blah blah.
All an illusion.
Yeah.
And gathered is a kind of just
Well, you've got
She gets the box.
The woman, yeah, she gets the box,
Yeah.
and the woman's gathered up off the floor. The body is gathered. Maybe because they drag her off, don't they?
yeah.
Okay,
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
That's fine with that.
And the silencio being the silence of death, apparently, could be an interpretation. Which again, yeah,
Goes back to what I said.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
So the next one is: did talent alone help Camilla?
Well, in the dream part of it, Camilla Rhodes is the girl. There's a whole conspiracy to make her, put her in the Sylvia North film, and the director, you know, almost loses everything over not wanting to cast her and ends
Yeah.
up having to see the cowboy or whatever. So to me, that would be Betty or Diane's mad rationalization of why she didn't get it. But in real life, it would seem that she's kind of, you know, well, humping the director.
Yeah.
And I imagine there would be other, and the fact that Coco, the mum, doesn't like her much, sort of suggests that she thinks she might be a bit of a floozy. But we don't know.
Yeah. So I don't think the film at any point answers that question.
But I think it's what's implied. I think that's what it's left to. Does talent alone help her? Well, is it not? You know, probably not. But we don't know. But is that what Hollywood's like? We don't know everything that goes on. We just get the snippets. Is it the
Yeah, but that's no good as a clue, then, is it?
As a clue, it's a bit rubbish.
Yeah. So if these are
talent
clues
alone
to the
didn't
film,
help Camilla.
yeah,
I said to you, I got helped by the mobsters or whatever they were to make the deal done, or she was sleeping around.
because it's implied. I think it's implied at the party in the last half an hour that they don't meet. The director and her don't meet until the film is being cast.
but
And
maybe
yet
but
we're
then,
being told that
but is it
all
a
of
thing
that is a
then?
conspiracy.
But is it? Are we seeing it? Then is the clue maybe through Diane's eyes of like, she didn't have the talent. I was the better one, but
That
the
doesn't work. Still
director-
doesn't work as a clue, does it?
well, it feeds into a conspiracy theory that the dream puts across of this wide network of sort of mafia Italians, people making weird phone calls, hairy armed men that you don't even see. This whole her paranoia of it all. Maybe that it wasn't talent that done it, but that's for us that maybe we're the ones deciding that. Maybe is it a big conspiracy or is it she was actually a good actress who done it, because we never see her act in the whole thing. Well, we see her act as a character, but we don't see Camilla Rhodes actually acting. We don't ever see her do the one bit she does when she's sat in the car was she kisses the director.
Yeah, the scene's already
Which
cut.
cut,
It's
all
about,
sort of,
it's
yeah.
about him giving directions.
So yeah, and we don't know as such, but I think that's more a thing on Diane's view on it.
Okay. Notice the occurrences surrounding the man behind Winkies. There's two.
Yeah, there's two occurrences. We've got Dan, Patrick Filchler, and Herb at the beginning, Michael Curtin. Dan's telling him about this dream he had where he went behind there and saw a man, etc. And I just wonder if, and then he does it and it happens. And is this just like a kind of foreshadowing of they just told us the whole film in like 10 seconds?
Or what? The whole thing's a dream.
Well, the whole thing, he's gone around. It's facing your fears, maybe, depending on what you want to see. I would say it's like the fears and guilt, maybe, or something. Some deep dark secret you got to face up to, maybe. Like because at the end when she,
Ooh. Is it Tom Petty's "Rebel Without a Clue" music video in
could be.
like 2.5 hours?
Oh, yeah.
where she's actually the one behind the dumpster.
And Rebel Without a Cause,
But then my other bit,
scene in that is pretty much like the scene in the start of the film.
Is it?
With the chase down there.
but could you argue then, if you're going on your life on Mars thing,
Go
your
on.
life on Mars theory, is it that when he actually does that and faces his fear or whatever, is that when he wakes up from his dream and that's why he freaks out and collapses? Because he's gone from that now. Like when Sam Tyler went down the tunnel, whatever it was, and then woke back up in Modern Day Police. Is this his sort of thing where old Dan's had his dream about it, then he's gone and done it, and his box has disappeared now. That's why he's collapsed or whatever.
But hold on.
I see what you mean.
But the monster.
And then the monster is Gene Hunt, and he's
Well, the monster's just whatever he had to face. He's faced
Yeah,
it,
so
and then
but-
he's gone. He's helped him pass on
and the box is now passed on
to
to
whatever.
Naomi
Yeah,
Watts.
Hold on. Is she not the monster? Because at the end, there's the monster after she kills herself.
yeah. I think
But
the
it's her.
monster's I think the monster's to get, and that's what the manifestation of
No, but
the
that's what I'm
crazy
saying.
old
Is
people. It's
it
almost
not
like
her all
facing
the way
her
along?
demons.
No,
I wouldn't have said so.
I don't think it is. I think if you wanna put the monster in a role, the monster is the evil that overlooks Hollywood.
I know, it's just
behind it all.
because we just
Yeah.
watched it at the end, and the monsters at the end, the black.
Yeah, the dirt covered.
But that's
Entity.
her, isn't it?
No,
No,
It looks like her.
No.
no, it's played by.
it's actually supposed to
okay.
be a homeless man, but it's definitely played by a woman.
yeah.
So
Bonnie
it
Aarons.
is a woman. As
Bonnie
in,
Aarons.
the actress playing her is a woman, but I'm pretty certain the character is male. I
Right, okay.
think.
Which
I might be
is-
wrong there, but I think that's the case. So, but if you want to cast the monster behind the dumpster in a role, then it's the overseeing evil
Yeah,
entity
no, that,
that
makes sense.
controls Hollywood.
Because I
Not
don't
controls
remember.
Hollywood, but
Yeah,
But I would say the
because
difference.
that's where I was thinking. But when we watched it back a few minutes ago, I just assumed because it looked like it was her at the end.
no.
Okay, so I wasn't sure this was she's the monster all the way along. She's the
No,
Yeah, well, that's where I was going with the
I would,
whole
yeah. Well, I would say that
rebel without a call, rebel without a clue thing
Yeah.
is that he's the guy giving the tattoo. It's that ever
all the way-
perpetuating circle of
we saw that is almost coming true as well.
yes,
But
yeah.
no, I would say whereas Dan went and faced his fear, she's ran off, which has then unleashed the demons, which have found her.
Yeah, there's a lot
There's
of
a
theories out there
metaphor,
called
yeah.
that refer to the dumpster monster or
And that,
homeless,
to
whatever,
me,
as a
that's what
demon. But
has unleashed the demons, and then it's driven her crazy, and she's killed herself, and then we get the Hollywood theatre ending with the puff of smoke, kind of thing. Like at the end when
Yeah.
she shoots herself and all that. But I would say
see,
it's
that to
more
me, that puff of smoke is a allegory. I don't know if that's the right word. A kind of it's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
It's everything you've seen is all smoke and mirrors. Even
it's the same
so,
as-
not just the first 2 hours. The last half an hour, it's still all smoke and mirrors. It's all
Well, you could say it's a film anyway, so none of it's real.
or the
Well, yeah,
witch is
obviously.
or the
Yeah,
witch
no,
is
but
dead.
I mean, like,
to finish off the Wizard of Oz
yeah
allegory.
analogy.
No, the word you were looking for was allegory.
No, that's the word I was using. But what you're saying
Yeah.
is an
and
analogy.
that would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
going into your life on Mars theory would kind of play into the dream theory, but into the fact that she's, in that way, she's constructed her own reality to avoid these demons that have been chasing her the whole time.
Sort of.
And then
but
it goes into
so
that,
my-
and then
my
eventually
life on Mars
they've come
theory-
back. I know what you mean. Yours is based on the death thing.
yeah,
But
so she dies at the beginning. What we see for the next 2 hours and 35 minutes or whatever is all of that happens, but the mind is making sense of all of that.
that's what I'm saying.
happening.
And then
So it's not a dream. So where you replacing those people in the first 2 hours with the people at the last half an hour, they're not replacements. They're not Wizard of Oz. You were there. They're just the brain making sense of how she managed to get to the point where she wants to kill the person she loves, and then kill herself. And it in a kind of last death throes of the brain lives out a life that ratifies that journey, and those people are one and the same. So the I've forgotten the bloody name now, the landlady woman Coco is both the landlady and the mother. She's just replaced it with an image that fits her psyche, her way of thinking. It's not that it's a dream. In the first 2 hours, none of the first 2 hours have actually happened, and only the last half an hour has. A lot of the first 2 hours have happened. They're just not being played back
in the correct way.
in the correct order, with the same actors. And I use actors in the way that people would use actors in real life. So I don't mean, Mark Pellegrino or I mean characters. So let's call them characters, not played out by the same characters. It's just that it's all amalgamated into one, and she's living out of a 3-minute fantasy just before she dies to justify her own decisions. So you can argue it is a dream, but it's not the clear cut first 2 hours dream, last half an hour is real. All of it happened in some shape, form, or another. It's just doesn't happen in that order. I'm trying not to keep going back to Life on Mars, because that's A, you have to have watched Life on Mars to get what we're talking about, and B, it's a shit way of explaining something. But
But then that could also then link into the fact that if, like you were saying earlier, that she shoots herself at the beginning, although we don't hear a gunshot, but I'm not discounting that because like the whole thing links back around. It's like a cycle. That would explain that maybe then, having got her killed, she kills herself so she can be with her again. So she's got Camilla killed. She goes nuts from the guilt. Bang, shoots herself. They can be together again, which is the start of the dream in speech marks where they are together. And there's that realization again that what she's done, and the guilt kicks in again.
yeah.
Maybe what do you call it? What do you call it? What everyone said Lost was, but it wasn't because they were stupid.
Oh,
Purgatory kind of thing, maybe, or some sort
For
of.
the record, no one in this room holds onto the theory that Lost was about purgatory. It wasn't. Let's shut that down now.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah.
You certainly don't believe it then, but
Yeah.
it wasn't purgatory.
Okay, we got one last key, I believe.
We do, and that last key is, where is Aunt Ruth?
Well,
She's dead.
in the
We've talked about
dream,
this.
yeah, I'd say, but in the dream,
Right.
yeah, she's in Canada filming a movie, or Hollywood Nilf it's called, and in reality, she's dead a long, long time ago, and left her some money which she came for. So, what does that mean then? Because she's at the end of the film as well. She's looking. She's looking.
She's
round.
not.
She comes into the room when the
No, she's dead, is what I mean.
yeah, but the box drops. So in the so-called
Yeah, but
last
that-
half an hour of reality, the box drops. She comes into the room.
Looks
What's
around.
made that noise?
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. So it can't be reality if she's dead.
Mm-hmm. Or is it in the same? Again, is it lineal? Is it just her? Which, and the other thing, is she even in that room? And is that even Aunt Ruth? Which would go back to our bit at the beginning where she's sort of looking and she sees
Hold on. You can't have it both ways.
Hmm.
You can't have the first 2 hours as a dream, but the last half hour is real if she's there.
No, I'm saying she might be there, but is she there
No,
at the same
she's
time?
not. She's dead.
Yeah, but is she? I'm saying, is she Aunt Ruth? We don't know she's Aunt Ruth. We saw a lady get into a car and drive off. You were saying your point in the dream bit. She sees Rita walk past and don't do nothing. She don't give a shit. Is it even her house? She's just walked by, And at the end, there's someone else walking by. Is it even her bit? Is she the dead aunt, or is she just someone else who was there?
Not buying that. Sorry.
No, but what bit do we know when ever says like goodbye
Her
Ruth?
being dead
No one
plays
says-
into my. I was going to say theory. It's not a theory. My
Interpretation.
My tuppence worth of opinion after seeing it once. It plays into Damien's idea that it's on a deathbed or death throes because it's all in her head anyway. Doesn't play into your theory that the first 2 hours is a dream, last half hour is real.
Okay, so
If
for
we're
the
saying that she's
record,
dead.
the
Yeah.
accepted theory, if you like, is that the first 2 hours are a dream, the last half an hour is reality.
Oh God! So I'm
But-
wrong. I am wrong.
No,
No,
you're
no,
right,
no,
'cause
no.
David Lynch has
I'm
never
not
come
saying
out.
you're wrong because I don't buy into that either because I think there's a lot in the last half an hour that doesn't support the dream theory.
But
Or
I'm
if it does support the dream theory, it does support the dream theory, but it's disingenuous to just write the first 2 hours off as a dream. I think there's more going on. That's why I buy into it's a kind of an amalgamation of a fractured personality, for want of a better term, having a dream, but it's not as plain and simple and binary as it's a dream for the first 2 hours, the last half an hour is real. I think most of what we see in the film happens one way or another. It just doesn't happen
Yeah,
in the sequence we see it playing out and how it is being played out to us as how it really happened.
Right.
Unreliable narrator type scenario.
Exactly. So, the conspiracy bit is a fabrication of her mind to explain why she doesn't get parts.
Yeah, not that she was rubbish. It's because
Yeah.
Hollywood's against her.
Yeah,
or,
exactly. But it's still there's a grain of truth somewhere in that conspiracy that she's conceiving.
Because we know there was a studio system and people
Yeah.
were put in roles, and history has proven that. So, yeah.
Okay. But she died. She had a lot of money that she left.
Who the aunt?
Yeah.
But I think the aunt at the beginning is just
hold on,
someone
hold
she's
on.
seen and
Ju-
just
ju- ju-
imagined her to be her aunt or something.
But again, bear with me.
I'm bearing.
So she left a lot of money. Betty couldn't get the role on her own.
Diane.
Diane couldn't get the role on her own. Jesus Christ.
I know.
Rita couldn't get any role. Betty couldn't get the role because of whatever reason. But she had a lot of money, so did she pay the gangsters to get her the role from Aunt Ruth's money that she left her? Was that her last way of getting it?
No, I think that money went to
But it was a lot of money. So did she give her alter ego Camilla money, or the gangster mobs, whoever? Did she pay to get herself Camilla the role because she failed through any other attempt?
See, I don't think at that point they're the same person. I think the Rita in the first bit is Diane's sort of perfect reconstruction of what she wants her. But I think the bit later on, Camilla Rhodes is Camilla Rhodes. I don't think that's. I think that's the real person that she met. I think the other one is her, whether or not dreamscape or whatever or not. I think that's the real personality of the person she met, who kind of, had her way with her and then cast her aside, and then maybe used her on the way up. But in the beginning bit, that's what she wanted. That's why she has amnesia. That's why, again, it's an assassination gone wrong. Or it looks like they're trying to kill her, it goes wrong. She's got amnesia. She comes back, and eventually she almost turns into her. She's blonde body. Rita's blonde by the end of it, and it's that thing. And then she realizes that actually this is all a dream. None of this is real. Oh shit! Boom, blue box. Wake up. Off we go. I think the person before that is her projecting this perfect image of commitment. No, it's almost her as well. Maybe even your dual personality type thing. But I think the Rita later on after that is the real one, because she's horrible to her. She treats her like there's nothing to it, and it just drives her to ending up killing her and then killing herself.
Okay. I think 2 hours and 30 something minutes
It's almost as long as the film.
is longer than the film.
We should have done a watch along.
Yeah. I don't think that would have helped. So I think it's definitely time we called it a night on dissecting Mulholland
We've
Drive.
been talking about this for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's going a
The
lot longer.
spotlight is coming off.
The spotlight is coming off Mulholland Drive.
And
But
we haven't been
to
through
try
about
and-
20
I'm
years.
going to try and, if I can, sum up the last 2.5 hours.
My one little
here we
bit,
go.
again, just check on the inside, is again that Lynch did say it took place in the world of Twin Peaks.
I don't think that matters.
Well, Twin Peaks is a lot of dreams and reality as well. That was all.
Yeah, but
But we're all accepting the fact that this isn't a real life situation played out in real time.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that
So I think
all
there's
plays into Twin
Apart
Peaks.
from the last bit.
No, that's the point. So I think there's a lot that supports 2 hours dream, half an hour is reality. And if you support that theory, then you've got to take into consideration that the last half an hour was filmed after the studio that was going to run the pilot said, "No way, we're not making this. We're not continuing this."
Yeah,
so
because the original,
it's wrapped up in half an hour.
the TV thing ended with the empty box falling to the floor.
Yeah.
That was going to be the end. and then I guess he was going to go for a season.
So you've got half an hour or so that's just tagged on to the end to kind of wrap it up.
There were some reshoots around it as well, and some other bits and bobs. But the main bit,
Yeah. There's an argument that says because it was a pilot, so that the stuff that we were talking about earlier with the diner, the two guys in the diner, doesn't matter what they're called, don't interrupt me, was put in there, was filmed originally, and that was going to be a story arc of this TV series, but it was dropped, obviously, because it was never a TV series. But if that was the case, he would have taken that out. You don't leave that in a film for no reason, so that's irrelevant. I lost my train of thought, but where I was going was the dream theory works if you don't interrogate it too much, in the same way as yours, Paul.
Mine's not a theory. I'm happy to admit.
Yeah, but what you said works if you don't interrogate it too much. So it's just literally fragmented, split personality. What happens, but it's split, and you don't know who's talking to who. Fight Club kind of stuff. I think my theory works again, but there's holes. It doesn't fit all of it. So if you start dissecting it too much, it doesn't work either. So he's achieved exactly what he wanted to achieve with this film, which is it's entirely up to you how you interpret this film. This is a piece of art that I've put out for you to watch, enjoy, and look at. And how you
and
see that.
But that's the whole point about
art. But the theme
is
still the same. I think no matter what we say about what actually happens throughout the entire 2.5 hour runtime, the theme is there, which is Hollywood will chew you up and spit you out, but we all love it.
Unless you're a cowboy that transcends Hollywood.
Yeah, with no eyebrows. Anything else? Anyone want to wrap up with anything?
It's just, it's nice that we're doing a highbrow episode, and next week...
Test of the D'Urbervilles.
Obi-Wan. We haven't decided on next week. We will no doubt chat about that for the next 10 minutes after this.
So if you've got any ideas what we should be talking about to put under the spotlight,
we got a few.
Yeah, let us know.
Some that I haven't watched.
So before we do the proper wrap up, I think it's worth saying that we do apologise if you came here looking for answers. You're not gonna. We're sorry you never got them. You might have got more questions than answers, but you might have got a new theory out of it.
Also, if you were looking for our normal, weekly edition of fun japes. Quips, and banter, you didn't get that tonight. But hey, that's what we do. At heart, we are film aficionados. We're not all about capes.
This is the podcast.
This is the way.
Right, so is there anything that you want us to put under the spotlight? I mean, we're working on the fact at the moment we're trying to find a film that one of us hasn't seen, the other two have, and build it up from there. But if there's something you think, hey, you guys should really check this out, drop us an email and let us know at
cultfactionpodcast@mail.com.
In the meantime, you can check us out at the Mothership, which is cultfaction.com. Everything we do is linked through that. You can find our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, our TikToks, and every other thing we do right there. If you do download us on your podcast catchers and apps, that would be awesome. But can you please leave us a review and maybe share us around? That stuff really, really does help, and it would be much appreciated. So I think that's everything we need to say. We'll be back same time next week. So it's a goodbye from me, Brett Summers.
It's a goodbye from me, Paul Hawkins.
And it's a goodbye from me, Damien Hicks. Why do we do... Why were the names? What's with the names?
He did it, I did it. And sometimes I feel like I have to do it.
Right, let's pause there because I'm desperate for a whiz.
The way I like it. It's the way it is. Damien turned you down because you were breathing. Don't shout. Yeah, he's too loud now.
Don't stop singing.
Spotlight special. Our top
Very-
10.
Top 10 Spotlight Special.
Let's get it started in here. And the bass goes bumping, bumping, bumping.
Mr. Summers, it's a bit like Jurassic Park, isn't it?
One take, motherfucker. Headline in, Paul's a wanker.
Don't point at me and say I'm a virgin. With some grid coordinates for a map.
Yeah.
And then Annika Rice turns up in a helicopter. Off we go.
Not now, Annika, you're too old.
She's doing it. She's doing it again.
Is she really?
Yeah, I'm sure I saw a headline. They're
They
bringing
should
back
have-
Challenge Annika.
They
Cool.
should. They should. Oh no, I was about Treasure Hunt. I said
Yeah.
two
No, no.
teams. They should have Annika and Annabelle Giles. Go.
Yeah,
Who's the
you
real
never know.
winner?
It might come back.
But anyway,
They should make the first Challenge Annika. The challenge be bring back Treasure Hunt.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I used to like Treasure Hunt.
Anyway, we digress.
Is Wincy Willis still alive?
We've really digressed.
Yeah.
Move on. 10 keys.
She was
So-
on Treasure Hunt.
Yeah, I know, but we're talking about Mulholland
Yeah, I know,
Drive.
I know.